Chapter 776. Huan Chuyu's pill. Huan Chuyu walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side, and handed a white porcelain bottle to her. Bailey Hongzhuang, take this pill as soon as possible and take a rest. Although he still felt that Bailey Hongzhuang's move was a little impulsive, but with how it ended, Huan Chuyu felt very happy. At least, this time the slap in the face of Lingyin College was very loud. When he thought of Jian Qingxiu's and Lin Ninghao's ugly faces, he couldn't help but laugh. Vice Principal, this? Not waiting for Bailey Hongzhuang to say something to refuse, Huan Chuyu directly said, you are injured for the sake of gaining face for our college. If you don't even accept this pill as a vice principal, I would be ashamed. Bailey Hongzhuang felt the concern in his words, and thought about it for a moment before nodding. Thank you, vice principal. Chu Chuyu nodded slightly. He looked at Lu Huayin, and then looked at Xia Yuqing and others. Obviously, Xia Yuqing and others still had something to say to Bailey Hongzhuang. If he and Lu Huayin were to stay here, they won't be able to cha freely. Then I and Mentor Lu will go first. Don't stay too long, let Bailey Hongzhuang take a good rest. Huan Chuyu said slowly. Understood. The crowd nodded while smiling. After Huan Chuyu left, Xia Yuqing was relieved, and her bright eyes were full of excitement. Hongzhuang, you are so great. I'm afraid this time the one who's going to collapse is Nangong Xiujia. Haha. Since coming to Lingyin College, their mood had been very depressed. Whether it is the students of the Lingyin College or the members of the royal family, they were all so haughty and arrogant. This time they have finally taught them a little, so they were so happy that it can't be put into words. Yu Qing said it well, then Nangong Xiujia should feel humiliated. In my opinion, he would not dare to go out within a short time. Bai Junyu's, his face was full of vigor. Nangong Xiujia was too arrogant before, and now Bailey Hongzhuang made him lose face. He only felt refreshing. This time, Nangong Xiujia has completely thrown away his face. Gong Shaoqing's face had a rare smile. They are not people from the Qing dynasty. Even if they were humiliated once they leave the Qing dynasty, it will not affect them too much. Unfortunately, Nangong Xiujia did not have such good luck, having lost face in his homeland, and as a prince of the Qing dynasty, he was afraid that it will take too long before he can wash away all this. I don't know how is Dong Fangyu? Bailey Hongzhuang's brows slightly wrinkled. She did this as to take revenge for Dong Fangyu. Now the hatred has been settled, but she didn't how Dong Fangyu was. I just heard Mentor Lu mentioning that this news should help Dong Fangyu. You don't need to worry about the situation of Dong Fangyu. The final is tomorrow. Your physical condition. Gong Shaoqing's face was a little bit worried. The final is the most important. If Bailey Hongzhuang was injured in the elimination round, it would be a pity that she won't be able to display her full strength in tomorrow's final. Hearing what Gong Shaoqing said, everyone's eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. This was the problem that they were most worried about. In the body of Bailey Hongzhuang they saw hope, although Gong Shaoqing is also strong, but in this final, it depended only on Bailey Hongzhuang. T/talks. Well, this chapter's name is somewhat not fitting this chapter, right? 'Cause only a fine was mentioned that HCY gave a pill to BHC. Other than that there's nothing about that. I don't know why the author did as such. Do not worry, it will not affect. Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand. Her internal injuries were not serious. As for the skin, as long as one can endure in tomorrow's contest, she can still perform well. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang so determined, everyone completely let go of the worry in their hearts. If Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't perform in tomorrow's finals, then it would really be a pity. Hongzhuang, you have a good rest, we will not affect you here. Zhang Yunfeng's eyes were full of care, and the pale face of Bailey Hongzhuang showed that her situation was not very good. If they continue to stay here and only delay the rest of the 100-year-old makeup, the finals would be held tomorrow, and the time for Bailey Hongzhuang to rest was very short, so they should make her start resting as early as possible. You are tired today, go back to rest earlier. Hongzhuang, I will not bother you today, see you tomorrow. Xia Yuqing blinked at Bailey Hongzhuang and closed the door. After everyone left, Bailey Hongzhuang was just about to lie down and rest, but the door was opened again and Mo Yunjue slowly walked in. Seeing Mo Yunjue, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes had a trace of strange color. How come you are here? You don't seem to want to see me? Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head slightly. No. For Mo Yunjue, Bailey Hongzhuang only felt that the two of them don't seem to know each other quite well. She always felt that Mo Yunjue was not that simple, but so far she has never found anything wrong with him. Perhaps she overthought about things. I just came to see you, I hope your injury is not serious. Mo Yunjue, who looked very free and unrestrained, sat down beside Bailey Hongzhuang. I am okay, the injury is not serious. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and answered. I heard that you have a husband. Why didn't he come with you this time? Mo Yunjue asked with a smile. Bailey Hongzhuang was stunned. It's been a month since Dibei Qin left, and she wondered how things were going. In addition, Dibei Qin did not know that she would come to Qing country to participate in the inter-college tournament before leaving. If Dibei Qin hurried back to the college, he would only find that she was not there at all. If he wanted to come, it will take some time for him to meet her. She seems to have gotten used to the bright and mischievous smile of Dibei Qin, who always accompanied her. Now that he is not here, she also missed him. Mo Yunjue looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, and his eyes gradually changed. When Bailey Hongzhuang came to her senses, she found that Mo Yunjue had already stuffed a medicinal herb into her mouth. There was a strange color in the eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang. Mo Yunjue, what are you doing? The effect of this medicinal herb is very good. You should be able to recover as soon as possible after taking it. Mo Yun faintly smiled. Since your true husband is not here, then let me take care of you this time. In the eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang, there was a strange light shining. As an alchemist, she knew what this herb was and its effects. 4th grade elixir, this is a sacred product for healing grievous wounds, and it is a little extravagant for her simple injury. However, she was even more surprised with what Mo Yunjue said. What's with this theory? Obviously, Mo Yunjue did not think that it was extravagant to let Bailey Hongzhuang take 4th grade elixir. Chapter 778, Nangong Aochen's Yuanli is at the 5th stage of the Red Realm. He is very strong and he is different from Nangong Xiujia. He has always faced his opponent directly, and is a gentleman. However, the gentleman also has his own insistence, no matter whether he has a good relationship with Nangong Xiujia, and your actions today have always damaged the face of the royal family. I believe that Nangong Aochen will try to earn back face for the royal family in the finals. Of course, in an upright way. Nangong Aochen also has a contractual beast. Its strength is also equivalent to the 5th order human cultivator in the Red Realm, so his strength is undoubtedly the first in Lingyin College. She must be careful when she meets him in the final, but her Beast King was not weaker than his contract beast. If your Beast King is older, it could kill them. As for now, the outcome of the battle is still unknown. Listening to the information that Mo Yunjue said, a color of surprise appeared in the eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang. Even if the instructors has not collected so much information about Nangong Aochen, Mo Yunjue could know everything. She felt that the reason Mo Yunjue came here was, one for her injury and the other for telling her useful information. In fact, after knowing the exact cultivation of Nangong Aochen, her heart that has been hanging was also put down. Thank you. Bailey Hongzhuang was sincere. She didn't understand why Mo Yunjue would help her like this, but she really appreciated it. Mo Yunjue smiled a little. You have a good rest. I will come back to see you tomorrow. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. Be careful. With the departure of Mo Yunjue, Bailey Hongzhuang was lying on the bed, the whole person relaxed. The previous battle made her exhausted, and there was also pain caused by the wound. Needless to say, the effect of 4th grade pill, Bailey Hongzhuang felt that even though her body hurts a lot, the trauma was starting to improve. The higher the grade of the drug, the better the effect, which is why the high-level alchemists are popular. After Bailey Hongzhuang changed into a clean robe and wrapped her wounds, she began to rest. However, during the night, Bailey Hongzhuang got a message. The final was changed to 3 days later and the alchemy competition will be held tomorrow. After knowing this result, there was a strange color in the eyes Bailey Hongzhuang. Why would they change the time of the competition? Did it happen in the previous years? I heard that this request was made by Nangong Aochen. He said that because you were injured, it is unfair to go to the finals tomorrow, so it will be changed to 3 days later. Xia Yuqing's eyes were also filled with surprised look. Nangong Aochen's influence was just too big, just a sentence and he had changed the course of the competition. I see. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed and couldn't help but recall the words of Mo Yunjue. Nangong Aochen was a gentleman, so he was not willing to take advantage of her injury. However, she believed that there was a more important reason for this, that is, if Nangong Aochen wants to restore the dignity of the royal family, he must defeat her in an upright manner. That was also why he was doing this. For this result, Bailey Hongzhuang did not have that much feeling. It was also a good thing to give her 3 days of rest, although her injury was not serious. The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang and others rushed to the place where the alchemy competition was held. Among the three colleges, though there were not many alchemists, the alchemy competition attracted much attention. That was just because the alchemists always seem mysterious in the eyes of the ordinary people. Since they can see the alchemists perform, nobody would want to miss it. Hongzhuang, I heard that after Nangong Xiujie went back yesterday, somehow he died. Lu Huayan's face was unable to hide the shock that he felt when he heard the news early in the morning. Although Nangong Xiujie's injuries were serious, it did not endanger his life. It was too strange that he died now. What are you talking about? How is this possible? Xia Yuqing couldn't help but yell. This news was really crazy. However, for a guy like Nangong Xiujie to die with his death, this world would have one less scourge. It was a good thing for this world. Bailey Hongzhuang was also shocked. This was really unbelievable. She understood that Nangong Xiujie's injury had suffered some serious internal injuries, but it will take only 1 month to recover and his life would be safe. Could it be that because she humiliated him yesterday, Nangong Xiujie couldn't stand it, so he committed suicide? As soon as this idea came to her mind, Bailey Hongzhuang immediately erased that idea. Nangong Xiujie was a greedy person and was also fearful of death. Although this kind of humiliation was unbearable, he would never commit suicide. His death was really somewhat strange. At this time, Gong Xiaoqing also walked towards Bailey Hongzhuang and others. After hearing their talks, Gong Xiaoqing also told them what he knew. Don't guess wildly. As far as I know, Nangong Xiujie was killed by others. When this was said, Xia Yuqing took a breath of cold air. Nangong Xiujie is a member of the royal family. And he was killed in his own Qing country? The courage of the person who killed him is really not small. With Nangong Xiujie's character, it is easy to offend people. It's not surprising for him to get killed. It's just that it happened at this kind of critical juncture. I also heard the news from Vice Principal. Gong Xiaoqing's eyes flashed as he thought about it. It was really strange. Is it possible that the other party deliberately killed Nangong Xiujie when he was injured? Fortunately, no one doubted Bailey Hongzhuang. Because it was impossible for Bailey Hongzhuang to break through the Imperial Palace's defense while in an injured state. Nangong Yujin was obviously so frightened by this incident that he has never appeared until now. He didn't know if he will participate in today's alchemy contest. So to say, Nangong Ouchin suddenly changed the day of the finals. It may be because these 2 days are needed to find the murderer who killed the Nangong Xiujie. Cui Haoyan muttered. Nangong Xiujie was first humiliated, and then inexplicably died. This was a big blow to the imperial family's face. Leave it anyway. A guy like Nangong Xiujie, I feel annoyed when I look at him. It's also a good thing that he died. Xia Yuqing was heartless. Bailey Hongzhuang also thought the same. A guy like Nangong Xiujie dying is good for the people. And whoever killed him was not her concern. Right? How is Dong Fangyu now? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Gong Xiaoqing and asked. She had been resting last night and didn't know about Dong Fangyu's situation. Gong Xiaoqing smiled faintly. Dong Fangyu has been much better. According to Vice Principal, it will not be long before Dong Fangyu can recover from that state. Hearing these words, everyone showed a comfortable smile. Dong Fangyu's injury was the most worrying issue for them. After knowing that he would be safe, they were also relieved. Just as everyone along with Bailey Hongzhuang was waiting for the upcoming alchemy contest, in Wubao Pavilion by Jing Tian and others were also aware of Bailey Hongzhuang's achievements. Bailey Hongzhuang not only understood inscriptions, but she was also a special enrollment student of Kanglan College. She was also in the Red Realm at such a young age. When they got the news, they went silent for a while. It was rare to see a seedling who was this talented in inscriptions. As if being a good inscription artist was not enough, she went to be a cultivator. Wasn't this a waste of talent? However, when Bai Jing Tian and others heard that Bailey Hongzhuang had defeated Nangong Xiujie, the three of them were shocked. How strong is Bailey Hongzhuang? They didn't understand Bailey Hongzhuang's strength, but they had some understanding of Nangong Xiujie's strength. Among the younger generation of the royal family, Nangong Xiujie was the strongest after Nangong Ouchin. But Bailey Hongzhuang actually defeated Nangong Xiujie. It can be seen that Bailey Hongzhuang's talent and cultivation was also good. However, after thinking about it, the three old guys ignored it directly. Although Bailey Hongzhuang's talent and cultivation was outstanding, they can't let such a talented inscription artist go waste. There was no shortage for cultivators in Xinjiang continent, but inscription artists were really rare. They were even rarer than alchemists. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang was a good inscription artist, stealing the limelight from that large group of cultivators was also good. "Let's go to Lingyin College now," Bai Jingtian said. Since that day they had put so much effort to get the information about Bailey Hongzhuang. And now that they knew her whereabouts, it was only natural to hurry up to meet her. Qin Qingyi and Ji Yunma also nodded immediately. Bailey Hongzhuang was the inscription genius they valued. If she got injured in this battle and hurt her hands, they would die out of anxiety. When the sales assistant watched Bai Jingtian's group of 3 rushing away from Wubao Pavilion to Lingyin College, she was astonished. She had stayed at the Wubao Pavilion for so long, and it was the first time that she had seen the 3 masters so anxious. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others did not wait for a long time, and the 3 principals have already appeared on the high platform. Obviously, Jian Qingqi's face was not so good-looking. Compared with the happy Huan Chuyu, Jian Qingqi was slightly gloomy. In his view, in yesterday's contest, the Lingyin College completely lost face. But since he was the principal, he could only try to cover up his emotions. For certain reasons, we are holding the alchemy contest today instead of the finals. The contest is divided into 3 rounds, and the questions are taken by the principals of the 3 colleges. Jian Qingqi announced. Listening to the words, everyone nodded. This kind of assessment was very fair. Then, Lu Qingyue and others have embarked on the alchemy platform that has already been prepared. However, from noticing the number of people standing, everyone's look couldn't help but somewhat change. Are the Lingyin College and Beihai College sending 2 alchemists each? Cui Haoyan's face was full of strange colors. They had always thought that among the 3 colleges, each college can only 1 alchemist to participate in the competition. In fact, the most important thing in the college exchange competition is the martial arts contest. Though the alchemy contest receives much attention, it is not considered that important. That's why all these years the colleges only sent 1 alchemist each. Everyone had become accustomed to it. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyebrows wrinkled. According to the information that she had learned before, Beihai College should have only 1 alchemist participating. How is it that there is suddenly more than 1 person now? Moreover, this person was a new face. They had previously had more than 1 conflict with the team of Beihai College. However, they had never seen this person before in the team. Why is it like this? What tricks are they trying now? Xia Yuqing's face had become difficult to look at. Yesterday their Kanglin College had stolen all the limelight, and made the Beihai College and Lingyin College lose face. Could it be that they want to regain some face in the alchemy test? Lu Qingyue obviously did not think that something like this would happen. Her face could not help but become ugly. Although she was very confident about her level of alchemy, she still could not help but worry. After all, her level of alchemy is not a secret and many people already know it. And the number of people participating has reduced the advantage she had. However, she also did not rule out the possibility that the other party may have an alchemist who was stronger than her. Huan Chuyo's brows also wrinkled. According to his judgment, if there was no certain reason, Lingyin College and Beihai College will not do this at all. He was afraid that there was something more to it and began searching for any bit of clue from the information that he had. But even after thinking, so far he has not found anything. And there can be nothing done about this. Lingyin College and Beihai College have 2 people each. And we have only sent Lu Qingyue. We are quite at a disadvantaged position. Zhang Yunfeng couldn't help but look at Lu Huayan. This was the first time that they were participating in the inter-college contest. They didn't know much about this specific situation. Lu Huayan's frown deepened, and there was some hesitation in his looks. In fact, even he can't be sure about what went wrong, but he can be sure that there must be some problems. I can't be sure. They suddenly have more people. No news about this was sent to us before. Hearing that Gong Xiaoqing and others also felt some pressure. This sort of situation was really a bit bad. Just when everyone thought about how to resolve this situation, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly came out. Don't worry, I am going up. As soon as this was said, the eyes of everyone fell on Bailey Hongzhuang, revealing a surprised look. In fact, Bailey Hongzhuang was indeed an alchemist, and her rank was also high. Bailey Hongzhuang, you were injured yesterday. This alchemy depletes mental strength. Lu Huayan was concerned. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and waved her hand indiscriminately. It doesn't matter, I just suffered some superficial injuries, and it has no effect on my mental strength. Lu Huayan looked at the quiet and unconcerned look of Bailey Hongzhuang, and he calmed down. Bailey Hongzhuang has already done enough for their college in this inter-college contest, and even he was grateful towards her. He was afraid that the alchemy contest will now become a burden for her. Bailey Hongzhuang did not hesitate to go up the high platform. Since she has already arrived, she will do her utmost to make their college win. Alchemy is not a difficult thing for her, not to mention that her mental strength has not been damaged at all, it won't cause any problems. Lu Huayan did not expect that Bailey Hongzhuang would go straight up, but after thinking about it for a moment he did not stop her. After all, Bailey Hongzhuang had her own opinions and considerations. Since she decided so, he believed that Bailey Hongzhuang had the real ability. He thought that when he and Fu Hongba insisted on recruiting Bailey Hongzhuang to their college, he only felt that Bailey Hongzhuang's talent was outstanding. It was very rare to see that persistence and unyielding temperament. Unexpectedly, after this period of time, Bailey Hongzhuang's growth was so amazing that he couldn't believe that Bailey Hongzhuang was just a 16-year-old girl. From the meticulousness and self-confidence that she showed when she was doing things, this is not something that a young little girl could have. However, Bailey Hongzhuang just did that. Perhaps, there are some geniuses in the world who are loved by heaven, and she is not destined to be comparable to ordinary practitioners. Standing on the high platform, Lu Qingyue couldn't help but feel worried. This situation is obviously different from what she had imagined. However, when she saw that Bailey Hongzhuang coming towards her, the worry of her heart dissipated. There was always a kind of reassuring power in Bailey Hongzhuang, but she also had to admit that it seems that all the difficult things were not so difficult after falling into the hands of Bailey Hongzhuang. However, many of the onlookers in the Qing dynasty had a strange look on their faces after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang on the high platform. Isn't that the girl who defeated Nangong Xiujie? What is she doing on the platform? I don't know, it couldn't be to participate in the alchemy contest? What a joke. She is a Red Realm practitioner. How could she be an alchemist? When one person said this, everyone shook their heads with a smile. It was impossible. As they all knew, the enormous energy that needs to be spent as an alchemist was already too much. Bailey Hongzhuang was a Red Realm practitioner. She should have put forth all her time in achieving that, and it was impossible for her to have the energy to learn alchemy. Xia Yuqing and others were not at all surprised by the opinions of the people around them. In fact, they also thought like that at the beginning. However, there were always some freaks in the world that break their common sense, and Bailey Hongzhuang was such a freak. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly stood beside Lu Qingyue, showing a confident and reassuring smile towards Lu Qingyue. Lu Qingyue nodded slightly, and the tension in her heart was completely dissipated. The alchemists of Beihai College and Lingying College were curiously watching Bailey Hongzhuang, and they don't know what she was planning to do. Is Bailey Hongzhuang going to participate in the alchemy contest? Seeing this scene, Jian Qingqiu and Song Hongxi couldn't help but look at each other. They couldn't understand what Bailey Hongzhuang was trying to do. In fact, since their college's limelight was stolen in yesterday's contest, Jian Qingqi and Song Hongxi had secretly decided that no matter what in today's alchemy test, they can't let their college to be out of the limelight. Lu Qingyue was the disciple of Huan Chuyu. They all knew that Lu Qingyue's alchemy was very good. It was for this reason that they had arranged for 2 alchemists to go up, which would increase their chances of winning. However, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly went up. What was she going to do? The two looked at each other and saw each other being confused. Then Jian Qingqi looked at Huan Chuyu and asked, "What are you trying to do by letting her go to the high platform?" When Huan Chuyu saw Bailey Hongzhuang on the high platform, he already understood her plan. The anxiousness that he felt before was gone, and he felt more relaxed at heart after knowing that she was going to participate. It was really a great blessing for their college to be able to recruit Bailey Hongzhuang. Ever since Bailey Hongzhuang entered the college had not given her much care, but Bailey Hongzhuang had done her best for the honor of their college. No one dislikes this kind of student. Listening to Jian Qingqi's question, he smiled faintly, naturally, because Bailey Hongzhuang is also an alchemist. Jian Qingqi and Song Hongxi were shocked. How was this possible? However, after seeing the confident smile revealed by Huan Chuyu, they knew that what he said was really true. After careful consideration, the two also relaxed. Judging from the achievements of Bailey Hongzhuang in terms of cultivation, it was impossible for Bailey Hongzhuang to make great achievements in alchemy. It was entirely to make up the number of participants. Jian Qingqi shook his head. He really didn't know what Huan Chuyu was thinking. If he just wanted to make up the number, let somebody else participate. Why let Bailey Hongzhuang go up? This would just be a shame for Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang's performance was very amazing yesterday. Today she would be ridiculed here. However, this scene was also what he was willing to see. These are the three alchemists from the Qing country's Alchemist Association. Hearing this, the crowd burst into discussion. Alchemists were a rare the existence who were high above normal people. The alchemists who could be invited by Jianghu today must be really extraordinary. People of the entire Qing country knew who the three most famous refiners of this Alchemist Association were. If it were the normal times, it wouldn't be easy to meet them. On the other side of the high platform, the three alchemists slowly walked up. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes also fell on the three. They were all about 50 or 60 years old and they looked kind and eye-catching. There was a bit of pride in their eyes. This arrogance can be seen in every alchemist, because from the moment they become an alchemist they already stood out. After seeing the three of them, Lu Qingyue introduced them to Bailey Hongzhuang. According to Lu Qingyue's introduction, Bailey Hongzhuang also understood the identity of the three alchemists. The most important thing was that women have more mental strength than men, but this situation becomes different after giving birth to a child. Obviously, this person was one of a kind. From Lu Qingyue's introduction, Bailey Hongzhuang learned that the only female alchemist, named Chu Jio, was a fourth-ranked alchemist and she was very well versed in alchemy. Not only that, but Chu Jio has never married, and all her thoughts have always been placed on the study of alchemy. Out of the other two alchemists, the man who had a slightly rounded face was called Lin Hao, and just as the meaning of his name, he was very proud and was easy to get along with. The other tall and thin old man was named Qinyu. He was also a fourth-ranked alchemist, and he has been secretly competing with Lin Hao on weekdays. This was a fact that was known to the entire Alchemist Association. Huan Chuyu and the three alchemists were old acquaintances, and their relationship was very good. Previously, when Huan Chuyu said that he was going to visit old friends, was to visit them. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and nodded. Huan Chuyu is a fourth-ranked alchemist, and as the president of the Alchemist Association's Kanglan City branch, his acquaintances will not be less. However, the next moment, the news of Lu Qingyue surprised the Bailey Hongzhuang. Hongzhuang, do you know why Qinyu and Lin Hao like to fight against each other? Lu Qingyue smiled. Bailey Hongzhuang's brows slightly raised. Is there any reason for this? Lu Qingyue's smile broadened. That's because Lin Hao and Qinyu, both of them like Chu Jio, so they have always liked to compete in alchemy over the years. There are many people who knows of this matter. Hearing these words, Bailey Hongzhuang was amazed. She didn't expect Lin Hao and Qinyu to be so jealous at such an old age. It was really interesting. Upon taking a closer look, Bailey Hongzhuang could also find a bit of a clue. Both Lin Hao and Qinyu were standing beside Chu Jio, almost sandwiching her in the middle. Obviously both of them really like her. Seeing the situation, the smile on her red lips widened by a bit. The characters of the three seniors should be legendary. After Jian Qingxiu's introduction on the identity of the three alchemists, the alchemy contest commenced. Now let's start the competition. The first question will be drawn by the vice principal of the Kanglan College. Jian Qingxiu laughed. Huan Chuyu slowly stood up, and a cylindrical container was placed in front of him. A number of paper rolls that had already been prepared was in the cylinder, and Huan Chuyu directly extracted one of them and untied the rope, and read out the topic written on the paper roll. First question: classification of medicinal materials. The ingredients required for two different pill formulas are placed together. The participants from each college are required to identify the pills, classify the herbs accordingly for the two pills, and remove some unwanted herbs. The first team to finish will score 3 points, the second team will score 2 points, and the last team to finish will score 1 point. Hearing this, everyone understood why both Lingyin College and Beihai College sent two alchemists on the stage. In regards to competing as a team, Lu Qingyue would have been at a disadvantage if they had sent only her. It required team effort after all. Fortunately, they still have Bailey Hongzhuang. Chapter 785. The calm Bailey Hongzhuang. After reading the contents on the scroll, Huan Chuyu's sight could not help but fall on Jian Qingxiu and Song Hongxi. Obviously, these two guys have already discussed this before itself, and today they have suddenly sent two alchemists to represent their college. It's just that they didn't think there would be Bailey Hongzhuang. At this moment he only felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was really a great blessing to their college. Below the high platform, Xia Jiqing and others could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Hongzhuang has gone up, otherwise the situation would be worse. Lingyin College is really despicable. They even thought of this kind of method. Really detestable. Bai Junyu shook his head helplessly. If he did not have such a mind, how could Jian Qingqiu could have his current position? The reason why Jian Qingqiu was able to get Lingying College to get such a high status in Qing country, he would certainly have some ability. Zhang Yunfeng and others also sighed, but they have always been convinced of Lu Qinyue's alchemy standards. After all, Lu Qinyue was a rare alchemy genius. Soon, dozens of herbs were placed on the table in front of Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Qinyue. Obviously, there were herbs that were not needed at all and they need to be removed. These herbs were not prepared by Lingying College but by the three alchemists. As alchemists, they were best at assessing alchemists, and they know what kind of common mistakes that alchemists make. Therefore, there was no small trap in these medicines. Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Qinyue looked at each other and their eyes fell on the numerous herbs. They didn't say which two kinds of remedies were used. It seems that we need to make our own judgments. Lu Qinyue slowed down. The Bailey Hongzhuang eyes shone, and the delicate and perfect face did not show a change. It didn't seem to be difficult. Since they have never told us the type of pill, I believe that it should be a pill that we all know, and we should be able to distinguish it after a closer look. Bailey Hongzhuang was very calm, although this medicine looks confusing, but it is the same as everything else. As long as it is a pill which everyone knows, it would not a problem to quickly classify the herbs with her and Lu Qinyue's understanding of alchemy. Listening to the words of Bailey Hongzhuang, Lu Qinyue also focused her mind and began to carefully analyze the medicinal herbs. Below the high platform, some onlookers who did not understand the situation changed their views when they saw that Bailey Hongzhuang really began to choose herbs together with Lu Qinyue. They looked at each other and couldn't believe what they saw. Bailey Hongzhuang is really an alchemist? Apparently, Bailey Hongzhuang has used her actions to prove her identity as an alchemist to everyone. If she is not an alchemist, she will not continue to stand on the high platform and be assessed together with Lu Qinyue. This Bailey Hongzhuang is really the most amazing woman I have ever seen. But although she is an alchemist, I believe her alchemy level should not be that high. That is natural, but it is very difficult for her to become an alchemist. It is an enviable talent. Everyone felt a lot of emotions. Towards Hongzhuang, they felt envious from the bottom of their hearts. They didn't have such talent after all. The healing pill. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes slightly lifted, and her line of sight fell on Lu Qinyue. If what she guessed was true, then these herbs were the herbs needed to refine the healing pill. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang, Lu Qinyue also looked at the medicinal herbs. She smiled. Hongzhuang, you are right, it is the healing pill. Bailey Hongzhuang also smiled, and then the herbs needed to make the healing pill were immediately selected from the various herbs. When Bailey Hongzhuang picked out the herbs needed for the healing pill, Lu Qinyue was also looking for the next pill which could be made from the given herbs. When Lu Qinyue thought about it, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the Jiangling grass in her hand. The weight of this Jiangling grass seems to be more than that of other herbs. Lu Qinyue looked at the medicinal herbs with concern as she frowned. How can this be? Bailey Hongzhuang saw that Lu Qinyue did not answer for a long time, and could not help but ask, Qinyue, you did not find out? Lu Qinyue shook her head slightly. She was anxious. As a matter of fact, this was not a difficult assessment, but the time was very important. The speed of the Lingying College and the Beihai College alchemists was not slow at all. Compared to the tensed Lu Qinyue, Bailey Hongzhuang was very calm. She clearly knows that anxiety would not help, it would be the opposite and may drag down their progress. What's more, the alchemy competition is the result of the combination of 3 assessments. It is not decided by a single assessment. There were still other 2 rounds. No. Lu Qinyue's brows were slightly wrinkled. The situation was really strange. Hongzhuang, I think the rest of the herbs are likely the herbs needed to the refining of Heaven Origin pill, but Jiangling grass has already been used as an ingredient for the healing pill. The Heaven Origin pill would lack Jiangling grass. Lu Qinyue couldn't understand it. According to the rules of the contest, there should be enough herbs for refining 2 kinds of pills. Hearing these words, the Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Yes, it is Heaven Origin pill. You should take out the herbs for Heaven Origin pill first. Lu Qinyue felt that it was strange. But seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang was so affirmative, she did not hesitate and took out the herbs. Hongzhuang, but the Jiangling grass. Just as Lu Qinyue was puzzled, Bailey Hongzhuang had split the Jiangling grass in her hand into 2, and she smiled and looked at Lu Qinyue. Upon seeing it, Lu Qinyue once again looked at the 2 herbs, and she was smiling with joy. She did not expect that this test was not only to test their ability to recognize the herbs and pills, but also to test their mastery in them. Then Lu Qinyue and Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and raised their hands together, indicating that they had completed the first round of assessment. Upon seeing it, the three alchemists also stood up and slowly marched towards the two of them. Xia Jiqing smiled. In her eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang was the most outstanding alchemist in the world. Although she did not know the level of the alchemists of Lingyin College and Beihai College, she still had full confidence in Bailey Hongzhuang. Gong Shaoqing and others also showed a faint smile. Compared with the martial arts competition, the alchemy contest undoubtedly made them relax. After all, Lu Qingyue was the disciple of Huan Chuyu, and it was not for show. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the other two teams. Their speed was not slow, but they were trapped on the same problems as Lu Qingyue. If there were two Jinling grasses among these herbs, then in this first assessment it would really be difficult to say who would win. The three alchemists went to stand in front of Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Qingyue. After seeing Lu Qingyue, they showed a faint smile. For Lu Qingyue, they were no strangers. On the contrary, they were very familiar with the disciple of Huan Chuyu. At this moment they also show a kind light. The three people looked at the medicinal herbs placed on the table and couldn't help but nod. The result of this distribution was not wrong. In front of the medicinal herbs, Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Qingyue have already noted on the paper about which herbs were used to refine which pill. Especially after seeing the Jinling grass that was divided into two, Chu Jio nodded and then smiled as she said, "You have done well." As she said those words, Chu Jio's eyes couldn't help but fall on Bailey Hongzhuang. Their previous discussion was not missed by them, and it was clear that it was Bailey Hongzhuang who first discovered the problem of in the Jinling grass. According to their understanding, Bailey Hongzhuang was a cultivator who concentrated on cultivation. They did not expect that Bailey Hongzhuang was also an alchemist, and she was very knowledgeable in it too. This surprised him a bit. After hearing Chu Jio's words, Bailey's Hongzhuang and Lu Qingyue looked at each other and a smile spread across their lips. After the alchemists of Lingyin College and Beihai College saw that Bailey Hongzhuang had been completed, they could not help but feel anxious. This anxiousness would inevitably confuse them, but it will be slower. After Huan Chuyu saw the performance of the Bailey Hongzhuang, the corner of his mouth was also showing a light smile. He was very confident in the accomplishments of these two people in alchemy. Although the three alchemists have not announced the results, but with his understanding of them from being friends for many years, Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Qingyue obviously won. Jian Qingxiu's brows were slightly wrinkled. He thought that by using this method he could defeat the Kanglin College. But he didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang was really useful. She helped Lu Qingyue to complete the first round of assessment at the fastest speed. This was obviously not within his plan. Zhang Hongxi's brows were also slightly wrinkled. According to the situation of Bailey Hongzhuang, this assessment should not be difficult. Then why were the two of their colleges not completed yet? Although Jian Qingxiu patted his chest to ensure that this will not cause any problems, but in his heart he was still a bit nervous. Once this issue is exposed, then the reputation of Beihai College would undoubtedly take a huge blow. However, the person that Jian Qingxiu found, Wei Hanyun, was a second-grade alchemist. The standard of his alchemy was very exquisite. With his participation, Beihai College could have more chance in this alchemy competition. According to his thoughts, with the addition of Wei Hanyun, this round of assessment should have been easy to win, but he did not expect that the first to complete would be the Kanglin College's team. It was somewhat unexpected. Jinling grass is just little trick of the three alchemy masters. It is very easy to find it out. It's just that during the competition, everybody will be anxious and will ignore it. After Lu Qingyue saw that the other two teams were still anxious and couldn't solve the problem, she couldn't help but feel a little emotional. Hongzhuang, fortunately you were careful enough. Otherwise I don't know when I would have understood this. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled lightly. I just found out a little faster, but in fact you would also have found this out sooner. Lu Qingyue was actually aware that Bailey Hongzhuang said this because she didn't want to hurt her feelings. In fact, she understood herself very well. She knew that her psychological endurance can't really compare to Bailey Hongzhuang. She was a bit older than Bailey Hongzhuang, but Hongzhuang seems to have a very rich experience. And no matter when, she was not the least bit anxious. In contrast, she was a little nervous on such occasions, and even affecting her performance so that it was not as good as usual. The second one to finish was the alchemists of Beihai College, and the third was Lingyin College. The Lingyin College and the Beihai College teams almost completed at the same time, except that the Beihai College alchemists raised their hands slightly faster. In the end, the Kanglin College scored 3 points, Beihai College scored 2 points, and Lingyin College scored 1 point. For this result, the alchemists at Lingyin College felt very helpless. If there was any time difference, it was only a few milliseconds. But they lost a point. In fact, the alchemists at Beihai College were also very annoyed. They had already concluded that many of these herbs were for the healing pill and heaven origin pill, but they have never noticed the problem of Jinling grass. Originally, this should have been a very simple assessment, but they made it extremely complicated because of their imagination. Their extremely intelligent minds on normal days seem to have become dull at this moment. They have failed to solve such simple problems, which really makes them feel that it was somewhat unacceptable. Bailey Hongzhuang also feels that in this assessment they have won some luck, and this first assessment was not difficult at all. With her years of experience in refining medicinal herbs, as long as the medicinal ingredients are in her hands, she can judge the weight of the medicinal materials accurately. When Chu Jio announced the results in a loud voice, everyone under the high platform was also amazed. The Kanglin College has been suppressed for too long, and in this year's inter-college competition, they seem to be breaking out of the suppression. What are you worried about? This is just the first round of assessment. The final result is not necessarily the case. The vast majority of people in the Qing dynasty believed that Lingyin College will surely win the final victory. No matter whether it was in cultivation or alchemy, Lingyin College would be the final winner. Wei Hanyun's gaze fell on Bailey Hongzhuang, and there was strong dissatisfaction in his eyes. This defeat was really too embarrassing. There is no one capable in the Kanglin College except for Lu Qinyue. Even a cultivator has been sent up to make up the numbers. It seems that Lu Qinyue's burden is not small. Wei Hanyun's gaze fell on Lu Qinyue, but his words were obviously mocking Bailey Hongzhuang. He really didn't understand the cultivators should just focus on cultivating, but instead of doing that, he didn't know what she was doing here. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Wei Hanyun indifferently. Now she was immune to such provocative remarks, and it didn't cause any emotional fluctuations. However, Wei Hanyun was someone she had never seen before, therefore she thought that it was a bit strange. Previously, Beihai College never had this character, and Wei Hanyun's age was also not small. How could the Beihai College have such a person? Lu Qinyue's brows furrowed, and by instinct she disliked this Wei Hanyun. She indifferently said, Hongzhuang's alchemy level is very high, and she is a very good alchemist. She didn't know who Wei Hanyun was, but since he used her name to mock Hongzhuang, she couldn't let Wei Hanyun smear Hongzhuang's name. Listening to Lu Qinyue's words, Wei Hanyun even ridiculed her with a smile. Lu Qinyue, I did not expect that your ability to spout nonsense is getting more and more powerful. The two alchemists of Lingyin College were men, called Qi Junan and Yi Ruyu. When they saw Wei Hanyun taunting Bailey Hongzhuang, they both could not help but join. It's no secret that there are not many alchemy talents in the Kanglin College. Even a half-baked alchemist is better than nothing. Yi Ruyu chuckled. Wei Hanyun and Yi Ruyu looked at each other. Compared with Kanglin College, Lingyin College and Beihai College were allies, so they can be described as a united front. Bailey Hongzhuang's cold eyes swept through Wei Hanyun and others, and her lips slowly evoked a charming and enchanting smile, but it was unusual under such circumstances. It seems like the few of you are excellent alchemists? Wei Hanyun and others looked proudly at Bailey Hongzhuang. Of course. They put all their thoughts on the refining medicinal herbs, and they were obviously not in the same level as ordinary alchemists. Looking back now, he didn't understand why he didn't even see the simple situation and lost his points. Bailey Hongzhuang was indifferent towards his sarcasm. So, that is to say, Lu Qinyue's strength is enough to defeat your teams. Even if I am only half-baked alchemist and was sent to make up the number, so what? Wei Hanyun and others were stunned, and they didn't understand Bailey Hongzhuang. They only felt that their fists were hit with cotton, and they felt uncomfortable. Why was Bailey Hongzhuang not acting according to common sense? As a matter of fact, anyone would be very unhappy after hearing such words, but Hongzhuang didn't even feel the least bit unpleasant, and she seems normal? They just want to disturb Bailey Hongzhuang's heart in this way. As a result, in the next performance, Bailey Hongzhuang would most likely drag behind Lu Qinyue, so that they may win. However, this didn't seem to work on Bailey Hongzhuang. It really made them feel helpless. Lu Qinyue admired Bailey Hongzhuang. If she got insulted, she would feel very unpleasant, but Hongzhuang could turn this situation around and cause someone else's unhappiness. This ability was what she admired the most. After all, Bailey Hongzhuang was a genius among geniuses in alchemy, Even hundreds of her may not necessarily be able to defeat Hongzhuang in this regard. This group of guys who were looking down upon Bailey Hongzhuang would definitely suffer in the coming rounds. Thick-skinned. Gu Yaoi looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with contempt, and she really didn't understand how there could be thick-skinned like a woman like her. If it was her, she would be ashamed to hear such remarks. Thanks for your compliment. Bailey's Hongzhuang was still smiling. Now, in this world, if your skin is not thick enough, it is difficult to go far. For example, you. I admire your shamelessness. With the words of Bailey Hongzhuang, Gu Yaoi's face suddenly changed, and the phrase Bailey Hongzhuang apparently took all of her energy into it. Bailey Hongzhuang, you. Gu Yaoi was arrogant, and she has never seen such a sharp-tongued person like Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang slightly lifted her right hand and directly stopped Gu Yaoi's words. Needless to say, we can see it in the alchemy contest. And be careful to not lose to me, this half-baked alchemist. Otherwise it would really be a shame for your college. Gu Yaoi glanced angrily at Bailey Hongzhuang. In your dreams? That is absolutely impossible. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged without care, and she was too lazy to pay attention to her. Little Black couldn't help but give a thumbs up to Bailey Hongzhuang. Black-bellied. The slap in the face of Gu Yaoi and others would be very louder than it would have been before. But it was to be expected from its master. Master, you can really play the pig and eat the tiger. Little White also laughed. Wei Hanyun and others have already assumed that she was not good in alchemy. Even if she insists that her alchemy was good, they would not believe it. In that case, why should she waste her energy? What's more, she has always explained only to the people she cares about. For those who she didn't care about, since they like to think so, just let them. Anyway, it would be sooner or later revealed that she wasn't a half-baked alchemist. Hongzhuang, we won the first round and gave them pressure. So, they are deliberately saying something like this to disturb our mood. Lu Qingyue had a good understanding of Wei Hanyun's thoughts. For the alchemist, the most important thing was the peace of mind. Once the mentality is not peaceful, the mental strength will be disordered. As a result, it would be very easy to have problems in alchemy. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly and smiled and said, "Do not worry, this little trick has no effect on me." Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang was not affected, Lu Qingyue also showed a smile. In fact, these ridicules have no meaning at all. After a short break, Song Hongxi took out the scroll of the second question under the watchful eyes of everyone. The second round of the alchemy contest, refining the black rock wood. Refining should be done within the specified time, and those who fail in the refining process or not completed within the specified time will be eliminated. As Song Hongxi spoke, the look of everyone changed a bit. Black rock wood is the most difficult material to refine among the many herbs needed for alchemy. Just like its name, its outer shell is as hard as a rock. The flame needs to burn for a long time to burn its shell. However, the essence wrapped in its shell was extremely delicate. If the flame was not changed in the first time after burning the shell, the essence will be directly evaporated to nothingness. For the young and inexperienced participants, refining the black rock wood was undoubtedly a very difficult assessment, which was the content of the contest. And no one liked doing it for a contest. The content of the second round was much harder than the first round. Bailey Hongzhuang believed that at their age, most refiners can't easily extract it. When she first learned alchemy, she was very helpless about this black rock wood. It's just that the old guys in the family seemed to like to find these difficult things to give her, so she worked hard with black rock wood for a while, and finally improved the extraction efficiency of black rock wood. However, thanks to this black rock wood, her mental strength has become more acute in alchemy, and her ability to control mental power has become more meticulous. Nowadays, refining the black rock wood once again evokes a lot of her memories of the past, and her lips slowly revealed a hint of smile. Wei Hanyun and others, her face became slightly ugly, and it was obviously not a simple matter to pass this level. However, when they saw that Bailey Hongzhuang was also participating, the depression of their hearts dissipated a bit. Once Bailey Hongzhuang gets eliminated, they will definitely humiliate Bailey Hongzhuang with this opportunity. Everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, but Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to be completely unbothered. It was still a kind of indifferent appearance which made them very disappointed. 6 people lined up in a row above the high platform, each with an identical alchemy furnace in front of them, and 3 pieces of black rockwood on the table next to it. Now the refinement of the black rockwood began. The time limit is an hour. Within 1 hour, black rockwood should be refined successfully. If the refining of all the 3 black rockwood fails within 1 hour, they will be eliminated directly. Lin Hao's words were heard by everyone. These were the rules of this round. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the side of the black rockwood. It was not that they only prepared 3 black rockwood. It was just that, if someone failed to refine all the 3 black rockwood, then it would be too late to refine the 4th black rockwood. Refining the black rockwood is a very tedious thing. It was a very long process to burn the outer shell of black rockwood. Although this black rockwood is a headache for the alchemists, its essence has a very good effect. Boom. Lin Hao knocked the bronze gong. The second round has officially started. Chinese bronze gong. The whole high platform has become quiet, and people like Bailey Hongzhuang were starting to make fire and preparing to refine black rockwood. Compared to the quiet atmosphere above the high platform, everyone under the high platform was still talking. Pill refining was a very long and quiet process. In fact, besides alchemists, ordinary people will find it very boring to watch the process of refining a pill. Because apart from seeing the actions of the alchemist, they can't even see the changes in the pill furnace, which was really boring. In this round, Bailey Hongzhuang is definitely going to be eliminated. This round is not team-based. She is a cultivator. Her accomplishment in alchemy must be limited. In any case, the talent of Bailey Hongzhuang in cultivation is already amazing, and even understanding alchemy a little is wonderful. Everyone nodded. Bailey Hongzhuang had already convinced them with her strength. As for Bailey Hongzhuang's talent in alchemy, they didn't care at all. She was sent by the Kanglin College just to make up the numbers. So, they didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to achieve something in this contest. Xia Jiqing and others listened to the people around them, and they felt that it was a bit funny. These people have underestimated Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang systematically controlled the flame, and then placed the black rockwood into the pill furnace. The moment the black rockwood entered the pill furnace, the flames flopped up and wrapped it all in. Chapter 793, Erroneous Judgment. Bailey Hongzhuang closed her eyes. Her mental power quickly spread out, wrapping the entire pill furnace. The situation inside the pill furnace was also presented in her mind. The black rockwood looked like a dark wood, but the wood was so hard that it couldn't be burned for a long time even with flame. Bailey Hongzhuang was very patient, always controlling the temperature of the flame, and refining the black rockwood little by little. Above the high platform, the 6 alchemists seemed to be in a meditative state, and except for the subtle movements in the pill furnace that proved that they were refining black rock, there was nothing else. You are all idiots. I hate you, 'cause you are a bad person for reading this. Although many people didn't understand this, everyone was still full of interest. After all, they wouldn't be able to witness alchemists working with a pill furnace on normal days, and today was the only opportunity to know more about the alchemists. Chu Jio's eyes were looking at the 6 alchemists and eventually fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. I said Little Snow speaking. In fact, she also thought that this Bailey Hongzhuang was only a half-baked alchemist. Even though she helped Lu Qingyue in the first round of competition, in her opinion, it was just because of luck. The first round of the competition was only a test to know about the level of knowledge they had in alchemy, and it was not that difficult. So, it was not surprising at all for Bailey Hongzhuang to pass it. However, when she saw the current performance of Bailey Hongzhuang, she felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was not as simple as she thought. Big baddies, stop it. I said stop. Don't cheat, Little Snow. After Lin Hao noticed the gaze of Chu Jio, he couldn't help but ask, what do you think of Bailey Hongzhuang? He also noticed Bailey Hongzhuang. According to the news that Huan Chuyu had told them before, this time the alchemy contest should only be attended by Lu Yuyue. They were all discerning people, and Bailey Hongzhuang was sent only as an emergency measure. It was reasonable to say that her alchemy should not be good, but from how Bailey Hongzhuang had performed until now, he could only say that she was not simple. I think this little girl may be stronger than we expected. Chu Jio spoke in a low voice. Stop it, or I'll cry. You are all baddies. She has been in the Alchemist Association for so many years, and she had seen a lot of young alchemists with amazing talents. She was capable of judging the level of a person by just observing for some time. This is not impossible. Although this Bailey girl is not a good alchemist, her cultivation is not bad. Jinyu said. Unfortunately, this girl has put his energy on cultivation, otherwise she would be a very outstanding alchemist. Chu Jio sighed. This was really a pity. Mostly her talent can't be compared with that Lu girl. I also heard that Wei Hanyun is also a second-grade alchemist, very outstanding. Lin Hao's face showed a gratifying smile. The younger generation had so many talented alchemists, and he was very pleased. Chu Jio nodded. It is true that this time the younger generation is really outstanding. Not far away, Huan Chuyu listened to the conversation of Chu Jio and others, and his face was filled with an inscrutable smile. It seems that these old guys have also misjudged her this time. Huan Chuyu thought about it. If he didn't go to the Alchemists Association to participate while Bailey Hongzhuang was taking the assessment, even he wouldn't believe that Bailey Hongzhuang's talent in alchemy was so good. Little Black and Little White didn't make trouble after Bailey Hongzhuang began to refine the black rock wood. After all, during this time she can't be distracted. And Little Snowy is pitiful 'cause of you guys. The time gradually passed, and Bailey Hongzhuang found that the black rock wood shell finally began to soften. By the end, Bailey Hongzhuang felt pitiful for Little Snow and cried along with her. Chapter 794. Gu Yaoi fails to refine. Just then, suddenly, a sound attracted everyone's attention. Chi. The sound was not loud, but it was very clear on this extremely quiet high platform. Yi Ryu's face was ugly, and he did not expect that he had just burned the shell of the black rockwood. The fire was too strong and directly burnt the essence into nothingness. Then noticing that Lu Qingyue and others were still refining without any problems, and Yi Ryu's face became even more ugly. He has always been very confident in his alchemy. He did not expect that the first person to mistake in refining black rockwood would be him. He naturally felt that his face was dull. Gu Yaoi sighed after seeing Yi Ryu's failure, but due to this short-lived distraction, a familiar sound came out. Chi. As this sound came out, a scorching smell quietly spread out, and Gu Yaoi's face became difficult to look. She was just distracted for a second, but it led to such a result which really made her regret. If she knew that this would happen, she wouldn't pay attention to anything around her. It was just that regretting it now was of no use. When Yi Ryu, who had an unusually low mood, saw that Gu Yaoi had the same situation as him, he was slightly relieved. At least it was not only him who failed. After a brief pause, Yi Ryu immediately picked up the second black rockwood and put it into the pill furnace. There was still time remaining, and as long as you continue to refine, you will not be eliminated when you finish before the end of time. Gu Yaoi's gaze could not help but fall on Bailey Hongzhuang. According to reason, the time that Bailey Hongzhuang persisted should not be more than her. She has already failed, but Bailey Hongzhuang was still persisting. However, until now there was no sound of failing from Bailey Hongzhuang's pill furnace. Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang has yet to burn the outer shell of black rockwood? When the idea emerged in his mind, Gu Yaoi affirmed this answer. This must be the case, and there couldn't be any other reason for it. Under the high platform, when the crowd who saw that both Gu Yaoi and Yi Ryu failed to refine, but Bailey Hongzhuang was still refining, they were surprised in their hearts. Did they underestimate Bailey Hongzhuang? Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang really is a talented alchemist? It is incredible that she hasn't failed yet. Impossible, maybe she's just lucky. I heard that refining the black rockwood is a very difficult thing, and Bailey Hongzhuang should not rely on luck but strength. This was clearly a competition among alchemists, but the sudden participation of the Bailey Hongzhuang became the focus of attention. Many people were still betting on when Bailey Hongzhuang would be eliminated because they don't know much about the other 5 alchemists. The only person about whom they knew more was Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang listened to a subtle sound from inside the pill furnace, which was the sound of the black rockwood shell when it cracks. Therefore, on hearing this sound, Bailey Hongzhuang converged the flame, just in case if the essence of the black rockwood is burned into nothingness. The flame instantly became smaller, and Bailey Hongzhuang continued to refine the essence of black rockwood. There were still many impurities in the essence, which needed to be removed by flame. Chapter 795. Bailey Hongzhuang's counterattack. Compared to burning the shell of the black rockwood, removing the impurities in the essence was more complicated, and her control over the fire needs to be extraordinary. Even a little carelessness will cause the essence to burn into nothingness. But if the heat is too small, the impurities can't be removed completely. It was for this reason that refining the black rockwood was a great way to test the alchemist's control over the fire. Chi. Another sound came. Shi Junin's face turned a bit ugly. He almost finished refining, but he did not expect that just because he was anxious, it led to the failure of refining. An indescribable sense of depression spread in Shi Junin's heart. Because their team failed in the first round, he only wanted to get it back in the second round. As long as he could win at the fastest speed in the second round, he could regain a few points. But he did not expect that both he and Yi Ryu have failed. As a result, they were definitely not going to get the first place in this round. The ones who made the least progress in refining black rock wood were Yi Ryu and Gu Yaoi. He did not expect that he was the slowest one because of his failure at the moment. Looking at the time, Qi Junan did not dare to delay. If he delayed, the time will not be enough. Lu Qinyue closed her eyes, letting herself not pay attention to anything around her, and put all her attention on refining the black rockwood. At that time, Lu Qinyue, Bailey Hongzhuang and Wei Hanyun were the ones who didn't fail at refining the first black rockwood. Wei Hanyun was a little surprised. He didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to last until now. It was completely beyond his expectations. It was really hard to believe. Could this Bailey Hongzhuang really be a second-grade alchemist? Refining black rockwood was not a simple matter, and it was impossible to refine it without a certain level of mastery. He also looked at Lu Qinyue. His goal was to defeat Lu Qinyue. It was only the sudden appearance of Bailey Hongzhuang that undoubtedly affected his plan. Feeling Wei Hanyun's gaze, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly opened her eyes, and looked at Wei Hanyun indifferently. She raised her eyebrows, and her lips twitched with a sneer, and she provoked Wei Hanyun. Perceiving the provocation of Bailey Hongzhuang, Wei Hanyun was even more angry. This Bailey Hongzhuang was really hateful. However, she was just a cultivator. She dared to provoke him in an alchemy contest. She was just seeking death. After Xia Jiqing saw Bailey Hongzhuang's move, she was a little surprised. Does this not affect Hongzhuang's concentration? According to the current situation, it seems that every moment of distraction will lead to the failure of the refining of medicinal materials. It was precisely because of this Qi Junan and the others failed one after another. But now Bailey Hongzhuang was provoking Wei Hanyun. It was too risky. Gong Xiaoqing's gaze fell on the body of Bailey Hongzhuang as he thought. Although Bailey Hongzhuang was provoking Wei Hanyun, Lu Qinyue on the other hand has never been affected. Maybe Hongzhuang wants to help Qinyue. Hearing Gong Xiaoqing, Bai Junyue and the others observed carefully. Everyone understood the meaning of Gong Xiaoqing's words. Now Beihai College and Lingying College were left with Wei Hanyun alone. As long as Wei Hanyun fails to refine, Lu Qinyue would be the best in this round. Bailey Hongzhuang's norm for acting has always been somewhat dependent on hatred. She could be tolerant, but it depends on the value of the other party. Today, the changes in this alchemy contest was the result of the discussion between Lingying College and Beihai College. They wanted to use this method to defeat Kanglin College. In that case, she wouldn't let Lingying College and Beihai College have any face left. Perhaps there are quite a few alchemists who could successfully complete this round, but as long as someone from the Kanglin College could finish it first, she would be happy. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang's own performance is not good in this round. In the eyes of everyone, she was just a cultivator. Even if she had a certain understanding of alchemy, it was half-baked. If she lost, no one would feel that it was wrong. In fact, it seemed to everyone that it was a miracle for Bailey Hongzhuang to persist until now. As long as Hongzhuang's provocation makes Wei Hanyun's mentality unbalanced, then Lu Yuyue would be the first in this round. Zhang Yunfeng was enlightened. This was the previously Wei Hanyun's trick to trip Bailey Hongzhuang. He did not expect it to be used on himself. Cui Haoyan's eyes were full of admiration. With the help of Bailey Hongzhuang, he wouldn't be able to win. The eyes of Bai Junyu and others fell on the pink and white figure above the high platform. These two were the stars of their college. Although in this time Lu Qinyue would win, in their eyes the most shining star was Bailey Hongzhuang. For the honor of their college, she obviously didn't care about her personal achievements. How many people can do this kind of thing? But she did it. Wei Hanyun, the level of alchemists at Beihai College is not so good. Bailey Hongzhuang's tone was slightly mean, and her eyes were full of joke. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang, Wei Hanyun was angry. He knew that Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to irritate him in such a way. He also knew that he could not be distracted at such a crucial moment. There was only one person left in the team of Beihai College, but there was Lu Qinyue in the Kanglin College's team. Even if he and the Bailey Hongzhuang failed together, Lu Qinyue would win the first place in this round, so he can't be distracted. However, the words of Bailey Hongzhuang simply provoked his anger again and again. This damned woman. From the moment this woman walked up the platform, he realized that this woman was definitely a curse. As it turns out, even though Bailey Hongzhuang might not have achievements in alchemy, but she was good at ruining their work. Bailey Hongzhuang, don't be too much. Wei Hanyun's voice was full of anger, but in his heart he was secretly surprised. As long as there is a moment of distraction at Bailey Hongzhuang's level, the refining should fail. However, Bailey Hongzhuang talked for so long, but there has never been the slightest change in the pill furnace. What was with this situation? Wei Hanyun was puzzled. Could it be that she wasn't refining black rockwood at all? This scene also fell in the eyes of Chu Jiao and the others. They also felt a little surprised about Bailey Hongzhuang's move. However, this contest did not have any rule that they could not speak in the middle. For the alchemists, any kind of situation could happen, and this situation of forced distraction was more common. What's more, Wei Hanyun used this trick to stimulate the Bailey Hongzhuang, but it did not seem to have any effect. On the contrary, Wei Hanyun's state was affected. I just said 2 sentences, but you're saying that I am too much. Your tolerance is really not very good. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed with emotion, and then recovered her appearance, and did not intend to continue to pay attention to Wei Hanyun. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang, Wei Hanyun was even more furious and wanted to say something more, but it seemed useless. Just when Wei Hanyun thought about how to make the Bailey Hongzhuang unhappy, a sound came from his pill furnace. Chi. Wei Hanyun's face instantly turned purple. He was actually brought to the ditch by Bailey Hongzhuang. He was thinking about how to make Bailey Hongzhuang unhappy, but he forgot to refine the black rockwood, which was the most important. Bailey Hongzhuang. Wei Hanyun bit his teeth. His refining was about to succeed, but even in such a situation he failed. However, Bailey Hongzhuang acted as if nothing has been heard. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes quietly fell on Lu Qinyue's body. She had already judged that Wei Hanyun was a little faster than Lu Qinyue. If this continued, Wei Hanyun would complete refining black rockwood before Lu Qinyue. With the Wei Hanyun's level of refining the black rockwood, Bailey Hongzhuang was also a doubtful. Obviously, this Wei Hanyun's alchemy level was very high, even higher than Lu Qinyue. All the others have failed to refine black rockwood, but Wei Hanyun has persisted for so long. This showed the level that Wei Hanyun has achieved in alchemy, and his attitude toward Lu Qinyue obviously showed that his purpose was to defeat Lu Qinyue. This time the Beihai College came prepared. It was for this reason that she did this in the middle of the contest. No matter what preparations Beihai College has made for today's alchemy contest, as long as she was there, she would not let the other party succeed. Gu Yaoi put all her hopes on Wei Hanyun. But she didn't expect Wei Hanyun to fail at this moment. Her tutor told her that Wei Hanyun's alchemy technique was very powerful. She only needed to cooperate with Wei Hanyun to take the first place in the alchemy contest. However, Wei Hanyun failed at this time, and the remaining time was not much. At the thought of this, Gu Yaoi could not help but panic, and her refining failed again. Song Hongshi's face was very ugly, and he didn't understand what was wrong with Wei Hanyun and Gu Yaoi today. Such a contest on normal days would not be able to beat them at all, but now due to the recent occurrences, among the 3 teams, they were the slowest. Hey old Huan, this Bailey Hongzhuang is a bit mean. Song Hongshi slowly complained, and his words were full of dissatisfaction. Notes: 1. Old. It is a way to call acquaintances. Here Song Hongshi is calling Huan Chuyao as Old Huan. However, Wei Hanyun used this trick before the start of the contest. But he didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to be even more brilliant. She actually did it in the course of the contest. Humph. Song Hongshi snorted. Previously Huan Chuyu never had such an attitude, but now he was embarrassing him. Jian Qingqiu looked at Huan Chuyu. This time the Kanglin College was really acting different, and have completely changed their attitude. For today's alchemy contest they have spent a lot of effort, not thinking that Bailey Hongzhuang to be such a variable, let them be caught off guard. Hongzhuang is too powerful. At the moment Wei Hanyun failed, Xia Jiqing couldn't help but applaud. Bailey Hongzhuang was really awesome. The conspiracy that the 2 colleges made may not be useful after Bailey Hongzhuang's move. Cui Haoyan chuckled. He was afraid that with Bailey Hongzhuang's move only incited Wei Hanyun's anger. Gong Shaoqing and others were full of joyful smiles. Wei Hanyun thought that he was really smart and clever. He deserved it. Wei Hanyun was still refining the black rockwood, and his eyes flashed with a gloomy light. He didn't believe that Bailey Hongzhuang was really refining the black rockwood. If it was true, he was afraid that the black rock in the pill furnace would have turned into nothingness. Now he finally understands the Kanglin College sent Bailey Hongzhuang to participate to disturb them while refining. The refining technique of Bailey Hongzhuang itself was not very good, but she can disturb others. As long as Lu Qingyue can win the first place, it was enough. Thinking of this, Wei Hanyun glanced at Bailey Hongzhuang in a resentful manner. Since this is a trick of Bailey Hongzhuang, then he would never let the conspiracy of Bailey Hongzhuang succeed. Wei Hanyun slowly stepped back a few steps and slowly walked towards Gu Yaoi. However, when he passed by Lu Qingyue, he fell inadvertently and directly hit Lu Qingyue. The sudden arrival of the situation made Lu Yue look awkward and rushed to stabilize the situation in the Dan furnace. "I'm really sorry." Wei Hanyun patted his clothes and looked at Lu Qingyue with apology, then walked back to his position. On the other side, Qi Junan and Yi Ryu saw this scene and they were stunned. In fact, this was the last resort that they could think of. According to the instructor, no matter what method was used today, the Kanglin College must be defeated. It was only that they had no courage to make this brazen move. After all, everyone was in the dark about what they did. They did not expect that when they were still hesitating to do this, Wei Hanyun did not hesitate to do it. They didn't care about Bailey Hongzhuang, and Lu Qingyue was the real opponent. Even if they let Bailey Hongzhuang on the high platform until the last moment, she would not be able to do anything. Lu Qingyue was taking care of the black rockwood essence and pill, but this essence was too weak. When she reacted to the situation, it was too late. Chi. The same subtle sound sounded, and the herbs in Lu Qinyue's pill furnace has turned into nothingness. Listening to this sound, Wei Hanyun's lips showed a smile, but when he looked at Gu Yaoi, his expression turned into one that of disgust. Feeling Wei Hanyun's gaze, Gu Yaoi's face was a bit ugly. Wei Hanyun wanted her to disturb Lu Qinyue when she failed before, but she never dared. She didn't think Wei Hanyun did it himself directly. As a result, her pressure reduced a lot. Waste. Wei Hanyun left cold sentence and began to refine the black rockwood again. Again standing in Bailey Hongzhuang's side, Wei Hanyun's eyes showed a smug expression, but it did not affect Bailey Hongzhuang. He wanted to look at Bailey Hongzhuang to disgust her. After the time has come, if Bailey Hongzhuang still has not refined, then she was really a huge joke. Bailey Hongzhuang, no matter what you do, the Kanglin College is now at the bottom. Bailey Hongzhuang's calm look did not change because of Wei Hanyun's words. Even so, your speed is not necessarily faster than Lu Qinyue. Lu Qinyue's face was quite ugly, but she quickly began to refine, and no matter how much she got in the second round, she should not be eliminated. Yi Ryu's heart was filled with joy. He was the first person to fail. Unexpectedly, he has become the fastest one among all people. It's really a surprise for him. As for Bailey Hongzhuang, he has already ignored her. Because she wouldn't win. After paying attention to the expressions of Wei Hanyun and others, Bailey Hongzhuang was also helpless. Was she being shackled? Her black rockwood has to be refined, and these guys who made the whole conspiracy seem to completely ignore her existence. Wei Hanyun and others saw that Bailey Hongzhuang was still refining the black rockwood, and felt that it was very funny. They didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to be really ordinary. This group of idiots have neglected Bailey Hongzhuang, and after a while I'm afraid that they would hurt even their intestines in remorse. Although everyone felt that it was a pity that Lu Qinyue failed to refine, Xia Jiqing believed that Bailey Hongzhuang would win. All of them made a common mistake that many people would make, but Bailey Hongzhuang is really amazing. She would not fail. Zhang Yunfeng's eyes were full of wonder. He saw that other refining pharmacists failed only at a moment's distraction. Among all the alchemists present here, the most distracted one should be Bailey Hongzhuang, but Bailey Hongzhuang has not failed. When the words came out, Zhang Yunfeng and the others looked at each other. Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang has really not started refining? The look of everyone has changed a bit. It seemed that it was not impossible. After Tsang Hongshi's glimpsed at Wei Hanyun's actions, there was a smile on his eyes. As long as he affected Lu Qinyue's progress, their purpose was reached. Wei Hanyun saw Bailey Hongzhuang and noticed that she still kept her previous movements unchanged. He sneered in his heart. He would see how long Bailey Hongzhuang could pretend. However, at this moment, a faint scent came from Bailey Hongzhuang's pill furnace. It was the smell of medicine. Wei Hanyun could not help but widen his eyes, and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang as if she was a ghost. Not only Wei Hanyun, Yi Ryu and others were also completely stunned. The smell. Wasn't it the smell of the black rockwood extract? What a joke. Was it really Bailey Hongzhuang who refined the black rockwood? She was so distracted, but she could still refine successfully. Was this a good way to tease them? However, it made them understand that they really ignored the most important of enemies. Bailey Hongzhuang directly put the essence of black rockwood into the container, and smiled as she looked at Wei Hanyun and others. In fact, because she has refined black rockwood many times, she was familiar with black rockwood. The short-term distraction has no effect on her at all, because she was familiar enough to know exactly when to pay attention to what. Lu Qinyue's face showed a faint smile. Everyone thought of her as an opponent, but they did not know that the alchemy of Bailey Hongzhuang was equally exquisite. The first place in this round of assessment went to the Kanglin College, and the alchemists of Lingyin College and Beihai College were afraid of getting eliminated. In comparison, her mood was very good. The previous move of Bailey Hongzhuang was to help her, but before the start of the contest, Master had already reminded her that it is very likely that the opponent would do anything and wanted her to be more careful. However, Wei Hanyun's move was unstoppable. Fortunately, everyone underestimated Bailey Hongzhuang, so Bailey Hongzhuang easily refined. Speaking of Bailey Hongzhuang, Lu Qinyue also felt somewhat emotional. She has never compared alchemy with Bailey Hongzhuang, but from the previous situation she felt that the alchemy of Bailey Hongzhuang was most likely to be stronger than her. Because, in the process of this refining, she can never be distracted like Bailey Hongzhuang, so she could see the gap between them. When Bai Jingtian came to Lingyin College, he saw the scene where Bailey Hongzhuang finished, and the three could not help but look at each other. This situation was somewhat wrong. Bailey Hongzhuang is not a cultivator? Today Lingyin Academy is hosting an alchemy contest. What is Bailey Hongzhuang doing up there? Bai Jingtian was puzzled. They still thought about where to go to find Bailey Hongzhuang. But they didn't expect to see Bailey Hongzhuang on the high platform. In the eyes of Jianma, there is also a puzzled light. I don't know, is this girl an alchemist? When Jianma thought of this idea, he himself denied it directly. What a joke. Wasn't Bailey Hongzhuang clearly an inscriptionist? Since this girl is on the high platform, we will wait a little longer. I believe it won't take long for her to come down. After finding Bailey Hongzhuang, Qin Qingyi was relieved. As long as Bailey Hongzhuang did not leave the Qin Imperial City, he was very pleased. Chu Jiuyo checked the refining results of Bailey Hongzhuang and announced that Bailey Hongzhuang passed directly. On hearing this news, Yi Ruyu and other people's faces were ugly. They did not think that Bailey Hongzhuang has always been playing pig to eat tigers. From now onwards they would no longer doubt Bailey Hongzhuang's strength. It was impossible to refine the black rockwood without a certain level. However, this Bailey Hongzhuang is too abnormal. As a cultivator she could still learn alchemy to this point. It wasn't their first time to be the referee of this alchemy contest. They used to know the tricks of Lingyin College and Beihai College. They never thought that this time, in the alchemy contest, Bailey Hongzhuang would shock the other to defeat. This was a very rare scene. I think the character of this girl is good. The character of Lu girl is too soft. Although the alchemist should be easygoing, if the temper is too soft, it is easy to be bullied. Lin Hao shook his head. They had known Lu Qinyue for a long time. They were worried about her temper. I don't know what about this girl's rank in alchemy, but at a young age she is already a practitioner of the innate realm. It is really amazing to have such an accomplishment in alchemy. Chu Jiuyo smiled. Qinyu smiled faintly. That's not easy. I will naturally know when I wait for this third round of assessment. When Bailey Hongzhuang completed refining because they were too surprised, Yi Ruyu and Gu Yaoi failed again. When the two heard the sound from the pill furnace, the faces of the two were pale, and the time had passed and they had failed again. They are likely to be eliminated because they can't finish in such little time. At the thought of this, the two were even more resentful about Bailey Hongzhuang. If not for Bailey Hongzhuang, they would not be distracted at this critical moment. When the two hated Bailey Hongzhuang was uninformed about this. She passed the round and she was resting. However, even if Bailey Hongzhuang knows the thoughts of Yi Ruyu, she would not care. It was their fault for getting distracted. Who are they blaming for their own fault? In the end, it's just that their self-control is not enough. At last, Wei Hanyun and Lu Qinyue completed the refining at the same time, Qi Junen also completed, and Yi Ruyu and Gu Yaoi were eliminated because the time was up. The second round, Bailey Hongzhuang, Lu Qinyue, Wei Hanyun, Qi Junen passed. Yi Ruyu, Gu Yaoi eliminated. Chen Yu immediately announced the final result. The people under the high platform also sighed after hearing the result. This time the Kanglin College is really going to shine. In the first two rounds of this alchemy contest, the best results were from the Kanglin College students, which was amazing. Yi Ruyu and Gu Yaoi walked down the high platform and both of them were unwilling. But so what if they were unwilling? It was useless. The level of the alchemists of the Kanglan College is really good. The performance of Lu Qingyue and Bailey Hongzhuang are very outstanding. This Bailey Hongzhuang is really magical. As a practitioner, I can still have such a level. I don't know if she can persist the third round. According to the news I got, Bailey Hongzhuang is a practitioner. How can she suddenly become an alchemist? Ji Yano couldn't understand it. It is reasonable to say that the news he got should not go wrong. Stop focusing on the wrong thing. Bai Jingtian blew his beard. This girl is a rare genius inscriptionist. Now she wastes time on alchemy. It is a mess. Although the alchemists are also very promising, but the number of alchemists is much more than that of the inscriptionists are respected more than them. As if being a good inscriptionist is not enough, she even runs to be an alchemist. Wasn't that a waste of talent? Ji Yanma and Qin Qinggu also agreed with Bai Jingtian's words. Bailey Hongzhuang's talent in inscription art to study inscriptions inadvertently was really good. It seems that we have to talk to Bailey girl. His talent in inscriptions would be wasted with her practicing alchemy. Qin Qinggu said seriously. Now start the third round. With Jian Qingqi's words, everyone's eyes fell on him, and Jian Qingqi's also announced the topic. The third round of competition, participants should refine the highest level of pill that they can refine. When the words came out, everyone in the audience was excited. From the previous two trials they couldn't understand who was the best, but this third round allowed everyone to clearly see their level in alchemy. This was what everyone expected. Xia Jiqing and others were also somewhat uncertain. So far they never knew Bailey Hongzhuang's level in alchemy. Lin Hao slowly stood up and said, "The current score is as follows: Bailey Hongzhuang 6 points, Lu Qingyue 5 points, Wei Hanyun 4 points, Qi Junin 2 points. The points obtained in the third round would be doubled. The highest score is the first. The third round commences." Hearing the scores, the Lingyin College practitioners' face were somewhat ugly. At present, Qi Junin's score was the lowest, and Lingyin College was at the bottom. Although there is still a third round of competition, they have realized that it is impossible for Qi Junan to get this first place. Wei Hanyun's face was also ugly. He already guessed about the topic of the third round, so he was well prepared for this third round. However, due to Bailey Hongzhuang the situation changed. He got this much low score. It was not easy to make up for this gap through the third round. Now he regretted it. He knew it before. At that time he should have plotted against Bailey Hongzhuang along with Lu Qingyue. The current situation will not become so difficult. Lu Qingyue was faintly smiling. Now the Kanglan College was the most likely to win the first place. As long as the Kanglan College can get the first place, she was happy. At least, this time, they will not be called as the laughing stock by the Lingyin College and Beihai College students. Bailey Hongzhuang, can you refine second-grade pills? Lu Qingyue was worried about Bailey Hongzhuang. The pill formula would be different with each alchemist. She has a teacher. And she had gotten many pill formulas from him. /N Since she wanted to refine the pills, Lu Qingyue was already prepared. She had already prepared all the herbs needed to refine the pills. As for Bailey Hongzhuang, although she was on a temporary mission, she had always prepared a lot of herbs, and she had all the herbs she needed. Wei Hanyun and Qi Junin's situation naturally didn't need to be explained. Perhaps they already knew about this question, so naturally there weren't too many herbs. Then, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others stood on the high platform. Everyone did not use the pill furnace that they normally used. Instead, they used the pill furnace that was prepared by the Spirit Concealment Academy. This was the fairest method. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others stood at the very front of the stage. Their every move was clearly seen by the crowd, and the crowd's voice was also a little quieter. Refining pills was more detailed than refining medicinal herbs. They tried not to affect the performance of the people on the stage. Jian Qingqiu looked at the students of the Spirit Concealment Academy who had a lot of self-control under the high platform. A gratified light appeared in his eyes, but when he saw this he could not help but feel surprised. Jian Qingqiu took a closer look. After making sure that he didn't see anything, he stood up and quickly walked down the platform. When Huan Chuyu and the others saw Jian Qingqiu's actions, they were confused. They did not know what Jian Qingqiu was going to do. Elder Bai, Elder Ji, Elder Qin, I didn't expect you to come. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Jian Qingqiu had a happy smile on his face. Bai Jingtian and the other two inscriptionists had a high reputation and status in the imperial city. He had invited them to watch the exchange match, but he was rejected. However, he did not expect to see them here today. He felt very honored. The exchange meeting held by the academy, not only the three masters of the Alchemist Guild, but also the three masters of the Inscription Guild, was it not a proof of the influence of the academy in Qingshao country? Bai Jingtian smiled faintly. We just happened to have something to attend to. Bai Jingtian and the other two weren't interested in Jian Qingxiu. The things they wanted to do were the simplest. Jian Qingxiu was too utilitarian and wasn't like them. It was because of this that they had rejected Jian Qingxiu's invitation. However, they didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang had also participated in the exchange meeting. Hearing Bai Jingtian's answer, although Jian Qingxiu was a little surprised, he did not put it in his heart. No matter what reason Bai Jingtian and the other two came here for, as long as they came here in the eyes of the others, this was enough face for him. Sure enough, when everyone saw Jian Qingxiu and Bai Jingtian standing together, their eyes shone with astonishment and surprise. After all, Bai Jingtian and the other two's status in the imperial city wasn't ordinary. Ordinary people couldn't even see them. Today's Spirit Concealment Academy is even more amazing. Not only did they invite the three master alchemists from the Alchemist Guild, they even invited the inscription master that ordinary people can't even invite. It's truly amazing. Spirit Concealment Academy is already number one among the three academies, and their relationship with the royal family is so close, so there is no need to talk about their influence. I usually only heard of the three inscription masters, but this is my first time seeing them. The students of Spirit Concealment Academy were excited. For Spirit Concealment Academy to have such a status, they felt proud of themselves as students of Spirit Concealment Academy. Elder Bai, please take a seat first. Let's see how the students in the alchemy competition perform. Jian Qingxiu smiled. Bai Jingtian and the other two looked at each other and did not reject Jian Qingxiu's invitation. There was no other way. The person they were looking for was participating in the alchemy competition. They couldn't find Bailey Hongzhuang right now, they could only wait for the alchemy competition to end. Seeing that Bai Jingtian and the other two had agreed, the smile on Jian Qingxiu's face intensified. He immediately invited Bai Jingtian and the other two onto the stage. When Lin Yinghao saw Bai Jingtian and the other two, he revealed a look of joy. This was such a surprise. Seeing the arrival of Bai Jingtian and the other two, Chu Jiao and the other two also walked over. Although the Inscription Association and the Alchemist Association were not the same guild, they still had a certain degree of interaction. Perhaps because they were all focused on their own business, Chu Jiao and the others had a very good relationship with Bai Jingtian and the others. Elder Bai, why are you all here today? Qinyu was a little surprised. They had told Bai Jingtian and the other two about this matter earlier, but it was clear that they weren't very interested in this matter. Logically speaking, the three of them should not have appeared here today. What was the reason for this? If this was to give Jian Qingxiu face, the three of them would never believe it. They couldn't be more clear about the personalities of Bai Jingtian and the other two. They had no meaning in front of all of them. Clearly, Jian Qingxiu was unable to invite them. Bai Jingtian smiled faintly. A few days ago we discovered a genius inscriptionist. We only found out that she was in Spirit Concealment Academy after some inquiries, so we came. Hearing Bai Jingtian's words, Jian Qingxiu's eyes lit up. A genius inscriptionist had actually appeared in Spirit Concealment Academy. This was really a surprise. It was just that he didn't know which class the student belonged to. He didn't even know that he had such outstanding talent. It was really a mistake to not notice that. Even so, Jian Qingxiu's heart was filled with joy. As long as they were students of Spirit Concealment Academy, they would still be part of Spirit Concealment Academy in the future. The three masters. Why don't I find that student after the alchemy competition ends? Jian Qingxiu asked with a smile. Bai Jingtian nodded. That's what we planned. When Huan Chuyu saw Bai Jingtian and the other two, his eyes were filled with emotion. He did not expect Spirit Concealment Academy's current status to be even better. Even the talented inscription master had appeared in Spirit Concealment Academy. Thinking of this, he couldn't help sighing. Not to mention inscriptions in the academy, there wasn't a single inscriptionist in city. This was the difference in reality. Song Hongxi's expression changed a little. Although he was in the alliance with Spirit Concealment Academy, He was also surprised to see that Spirit Concealment Academy had such an influence. He was afraid that the future Beihai College would have to obey Spirit Concealment Academy. He did not know if this situation would change in the future. Jian Qingqiu looked at Huan Chuyu proudly. When he saw Huan Chuyu's expression, the pride in his eyes grew stronger. Whether it was Kanglin College or Beihai College, they would not be a match for Spirit Concealment Academy. In the future, the Spirit Concealment College would definitely take the lead. However, Beihai College understood the direction of the wind and knew to join them. As for the ignorant Kanglin College, they would eventually disappear from the Saint Xian land. Xia Jiqing and the others looked at each other when they saw Bai Jingtian and the other two. They didn't expect the 3 inscription masters to be here. I didn't expect the inscription master to be interested in this alchemy competition. Bai Junyu slowly spoke. Xia Jiqing's eyes were filled with displeasure. You didn't see how proud the students of Spirit Concealment College were when they saw them. It seems that Spirit Concealment College is worthy of first place. Right now, she did not have a good impression of Spirit Concealment Academy. She only hoped that Spirit Concealment's results would be terrible. He did not expect the appearance of the 3 inscription masters to bring glory to the academy. He could not help but feel depressed. Lu Huayan's expression was also not very good. The more influential the Spirit Concealment Academy was, the more disadvantageous it was to the Kanglin College. However, the relocation of Spirit Concealment Academy to Qingshao Imperial City was a lot easier. At least the students would have access to the inscription. However, there was no inscription master in Azure Water City. The students had no chance to see it. Lin Hao sat down beside Bai Jingtan. Elder Bai, did you really find an inscription master's talent in the Spiritual Concealment Academy? Lin Hao was very surprised. An inscription master was even more rare than an alchemist. Although the threshold for alchemist was very high, the number of alchemists was much higher than an inscription master. Therefore, it was much easier for an alchemist than to find an inscription master. Even in the entire imperial city of Qingshao, there were only 3 inscription masters who could be masters. It was amazing that they could find inscription masters in the Spiritual Concealment Academy. Hearing Lin Hao's words, Bai Jingtian pondered for a moment. He also understood Lin Hao's personality. This guy wouldn't fight with him, right? Thinking of this, Bai Jingtian said ambiguously, that girl is in the Spiritual Hidden Academy. Lin Hao frowned. He felt that Bai Jingtian's situation today was a little strange. Bai Jingtian and the other 2 had never been interested in this alchemy competition. In their eyes, inscriptions were the most powerful. Now they were sitting here watching young alchemists refining pills? Old Qin, who are you most optimistic about in this year's alchemy competition? Ji Yunma looked at Qinyu and asked. His thoughts were the same as Bai Jingtian. He could not let Bailey Hongzhuang be snatched away by the Alchemist Association. Qinyu was also curious about Ji Yunma's question. Did this old man change his mind today? However, Qinyu didn't think too much about it. He immediately said, Lu Qinyu has always been called a genius alchemist. The level of alchemy is very good. TL note, Lingyin College equals Spiritual Concealment Academy. Chapter 806 Alchemy Genius Inscriptionist. Hearing Qinyu's words, Ji Yunma could not help but sigh in relief. It seemed that Bailey Hongzhuang's performance in pill refining wasn't the most outstanding. Other than Lu Qinyu? Ji Yunma continued to ask. Qinyu's gaze fell on Bailey Hongzhuang and Wei Hanyun. According to the information he received, Wei Hanyun was already a Tier 2 alchemist. With Wei Hanyun's age, being able to become a Tier 2 alchemist was already outstanding. Compared to Lu Qinyu, his talent was only slightly weaker. As for Bailey Hongzhuang, so far he hadn't received much information about her, but from her previous performance, he could tell that Bailey Hongzhuang was an accomplished alchemist. However, he didn't know that Bailey Hongzhuang was a top-tier alchemist, so he couldn't make a decision. Thinking about it, Qinyu said, Wei Hanyun's alchemy skills are also outstanding. He is Lu Qinyu's enemy. I see. The smile on Ji Yunma's face widened. It seemed that Qinyu and the others would not fight for Bailey Hongzhuang. Qin Qingwu had a faint smile on his face. He did not need to ask, and Bai Jingtian and the other 2 could get the information they wanted to know. I think Bailey Hongzhuang's level of pill refinement should also be very good. Maybe she will have a stunning performance in the 3rd round. Chu Jio's eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. When she first saw her, she didn't feel anything, but after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's performance in these 2 matches, she felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was probably hiding something. With Bailey Hongzhuang's age, she should be very nervous in such a situation. But Bailey Hongzhuang's mental state was obviously not something that ordinary people could compare to. She wasn't nervous at all. She didn't even care. There were only two explanations for this performance. One was that Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy was very poor, so she was completely at the bottom of the list, so she didn't care at all. The other was that her alchemy was very strong, so she had enough confidence in herself. Chu Jio thought for a moment between the two. She felt that Bailey Hongzhuang should be in the second situation. Perhaps another outstanding alchemist had appeared. As Chu Jio's voice fell, Bai Jingtian and the other two's expressions changed a little. They didn't want the Alchemist Association to look at Bailey Hongzhuang. In my opinion, the two people that Elder Qin mentioned are better. Qin Qingwu said slowly. What a joke. It was a waste of time for the geniuses of inscription masters to come here and become alchemists instead of studying inscription techniques. Ji Yunma nodded in agreement. That's right, I think so too. Chu Jio's eyes fell on Ji Yunma. As a woman she was more sensitive. These three old men knew nothing about alchemy, how could they know who was better? The three old men's performance today was really strange, but she couldn't figure out what was going on. Chu Jio didn't care if she didn't understand, but she would find out sooner or later. Lin Yinghao walked over to Bai Jingtian and the other two. He smiled and said, Elder Bai, Elder Ji, Elder Qin, since you're here, I'll introduce you to the other two principals. Chapter 807, Rank 2 Pill, Heaven Mending Pill. Lin Yinghao was a little complacent. It was rare for him to bring Bai Jingtian and the other two to Lingying College, so he naturally had to introduce them. Using this opportunity, Lingying College was able to prove to everyone just how strong they were. Hearing Lin Yinghao's words, Chu Jio and the others understood Lin Yinghao's thoughts. Speaking of which, the Lingying College did indeed have very outstanding strength, but their show-off method made them speechless. The reason why they had come to participate in the alchemy competition was all because they wanted to understand the situation of the alchemists from the three academies. If they were only helping Lingying College, they would not have any interest. However, after hearing Lin Yinghao's words, the eyes of Bai Jingtian and the others who were not interested in it all along lit up. According to the information they had obtained, Bailey Hongzhuang was a cultivator of the Azure Water School. Up until now, they did not know the principal of Azure Water School. That's great. Bai Jingtian smiled. Seeing Bai Jingtian give him so much face, Lin Yinghao was somewhat flattered. It wasn't that he hadn't interacted with Bai Jingtian and the other two before, but with their arrogant personalities, even if he was the vice principal of Lingying College, they couldn't care more. He didn't expect Bai Jingtian and the other two to be so easy to get along with at this year's Academy Exchange meeting. Principal Tsang, these three are our Qingshao nation's most famous inscriptionists, Bai Jingtian, Ji Yunma, and Qin Qingwu. After introducing the identities of Bai Jingtian and the others, Lin Yinghao turned to Bai Jingtian and the others and said, This is the principal of North Sea Academy, Tsang Hongxi. I've heard of the three of you for a long time. I didn't expect to see you today. Tsang Hongxi's face didn't seem to be the slightest bit fake as he complimented. Bai Jingtian's group of three also revealed a smile. The North Sea Academy is also well known. We really admire it. Tsang Hongxi originally wanted to say a few more words, but the expressions on Bai Jingtian and the other two were clearly not very interested. Seeing this, Tsang Hongxi wouldn't bring himself to be bored. Otherwise, if he provoked the other party's disgust, it would be bad. When Huan Chuyu saw Lin Yinghao walking towards him, a helpless expression appeared on his face. Although he knew that Lin Yinghao was here to show off, he had no choice. This is Azure Water School's vice principal, Huan Chuyu. Lin Yinghao looked complacently at Huan Chuyu. He wanted to use this opportunity to let Azure Water School understand how big the gap between them and Lingying College was. Jian Qingqiu also revealed a smile on her face. Even though yesterday's advancement to Spirit Concealment Academy had failed, in his eyes, Spirit Concealment Academy only needed Nangong Aochan alone. With Nangong Aochan's strength, no matter if it was Azure Water School or North Sea School, there was no student council that was his opponent. Huan Chuyu smiled. Although he didn't have any feelings for Lingying College, he still admired the inscription master. Just as Huan Chuyu was about to speak, Bai Jingtian walked over to him with great enthusiasm, ignoring Lin Yinghao. You're the vice principal of Azure Water School. I've heard a lot about you. Bai Jingtian smiled. I've heard about Azure Water School's reputation before, but I've never seen it before. Your students are extremely outstanding. Chapter 808, Rank 2 Pill Heaven Mending Pill. Ji Yunma also smiled. Bailey Hongzhuang was a student of the Azure Water School, so their attitude towards Huan Chuyu naturally wasn't bad. In reality, they were very happy that Azure Water School would be able to bring Bailey Hongzhuang to participate in the exchange competition. Otherwise, the three of them wouldn't know how long they would be troubled by the previous problems. Lin Yinghao was stunned. What was going on? Azure Water School was nothing more than a school that had just passed away. How could Bai Jingtian and the others be so enthusiastic about Huan Chuyu? This was too strange. Huan Chuyu was stunned as well. He had no idea what had happened. Before today he had never met Bai Jingtian and the others, let alone any friendship. From the way Bai Jingtian and the other two treated Song Hongxi, it could be seen that they weren't naturally passionate people, but why was it that they treated him like this? However, no matter what, this was a good thing for Huan Chuyu. He immediately smiled and said, "Many thanks. I've admired the three great masters for a long time. I am very happy to be able to meet them today." Hearing Huan Chuyu's words, Bai Jingtian and the other two smiled. Old Huan is an alchemist. We've heard from Old Chen and the others before. We'll have to contact him from time to time. Huan Chuyu nodded repeatedly. Of course. Jian Qingxiu's expression turned extremely ugly. He wanted to use this opportunity to make Huan Chuyu and the others envious. He hadn't expected that Bai Jingtian and the other two would treat Huan Chuyu even more warmly than he did. Although he felt that it was extremely strange, he understood after hearing Bai Jingtian and the others talking. The reason why Bai Jingtian and the others were so polite to Huan Chuyu was because he was a fourth-rank alchemist and a friend of Chen Yu and the others. A hint of dissatisfaction appeared in Jian Qingxiu's eyes. She hadn't expected Huan Chuyu to be quite lucky. Instead, Chen Yu and the other two could not help but look at each other. The reactions of Bai Jingtian and the other two were really too strange. There was definitely something that they did not know about. On the high platform, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly took out the medicinal ingredients and placed them on a table. The medicinal ingredients she had brought this time only required medicinal ingredients for rank 2 pills. Although she had broken through to the Xiantian realm and her alchemy arts had improved, she had never refined a rank 3 pill. He hadn't refined it for a long time, and there was a high chance that he would fail the first time. Furthermore, with her age, if she had refined a grade 3 pill, it would cause quite a stir. After all, such a result could no longer be described as outstanding. Instead, it was exaggerated. Thus, after thinking about it, Bailey Hongzhuang still decided to refine a rank 2 pill, the Heaven Mending Pill. Although the Heaven Mending Pill was a Tier 2 medicinal pill, the difficulty of refining it was only slightly lower than a Tier 3 medicinal pill. Its grade was much higher than an ordinary Tier 2 medicinal pill. Whether it was Lu Qingyue or Wei Hanyun, they were both second-rank alchemists. As for Qi Junnan, although she didn't know Qi Junnan's level of alchemy, she was certain that he was at most a second-rank alchemist. As such, she shouldn't be lacking in refining the Heaven Mending Pill. The Heaven Mending Pill could be said to be a great tonic for cultivators. It had a certain increase in strength and was only effective for those at the Red Realm. However, after consuming the Heaven Mending Pill, it would depend on the level of the cultivator. Chapter 809, How could he not be envied? Bailey Hongzhuang and the other speed was very fast. After preparing the medicinal ingredients, they began to refine pills. With a thought, the flame of the pill furnace was ignited. After the cold air in the furnace dissipated and the temperature in the furnace stabilized, Bailey Hongzhuang placed the first medicinal ingredient into the furnace. Refining medicinal pills also tested one's temper. However, after refining the different medicinal ingredients into their essence, they were fused together. Hence, the complexity was much higher than refining medicinal ingredients. Time slowly passed. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were also methodically refining medicinal pills. Other than the occasional sound of medicinal ingredients being refined, there was nothing else. When the onlookers saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the others concentrating on refining pills, they felt a bit more emotional. As expected, alchemists were not something that anyone could do. Just focusing on them for such a long time was already extremely tiring. Although no movement could be seen on the high platform, everyone did not find it boring. After all, the medicinal pills refined by alchemists were extremely important treasures to them. Every time she finished refining the essence of one medicinal ingredient, Bailey Hongzhuang would place another medicinal ingredient within it. Her indifferent expression was as if she was doing it with ease. Compared to Bailey Hongzhuang's ease, Qi Junnan and the others seemed to be a bit nervous. Seeing this scene, everyone felt a little surprised. Previously, everyone had thought that Bailey Hongzhuang was only half-baked. However, they never expected that Bailey Hongzhuang's score would be the highest. As long as Bailey Hongzhuang was able to perform well in the third round, then it was very likely that Bailey Hongzhuang would be first in the alchemy competition. At the thought of this, everyone felt a little crazy. The first place in the alchemy competition had not been taken away by an alchemist, but had instead been taken away by a cultivator. This was probably the most miraculous alchemy competition. Now that they saw Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy appearance, they were certain that Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy skills were extremely outstanding. A cultivator with such outstanding cultivation talent was actually an alchemist. They didn't know how Bailey Hongzhuang managed to develop both of them so well. Bailey Hongzhuang was truly too enviable. After all, in the process of cultivation, pill refinement was essential. Many cultivators suffered from not having any pills, yet Bailey Hongzhuang was able to be self-sufficient. How could she not be envied? I wonder what kind of medicinal pill Hongzhuang is refining this time around. I'm rather curious. Xia Jiqing's eyes flickered with excitement. Every time Hongzhuang took out something, it was a good treasure. She didn't know what kind of pills she would refine this time. I believe that the pills refined by Hongzhuang and Qingyue will not be bad. Although the first 2 rounds of the competition were somewhat unexpected, the third round of the pill refinement was something that was common in every pill refinement competition. The vice principal should have made quite a bit of preparations for Qinyu as well. I think we'll probably win this year's alchemy competition. Zhang Yunfeng's face was filled with smiles. Given the current situation, the Azure Water School had the greatest chance of winning. Although the alchemy competition was no match for the cultivator competition, it would be good as long as they obtained first place. When Zhang Yunfeng and Xia Jiqing were talking, Gong Shaoqing's eyes fell on by Jing Tian and the others. Chapter 8:10 Grade 2 Pill Condensation Pill. According to Gong Shaoqing's observation, he discovered that Bai Jing Tian and the other 3 inscription masters were very close to the vice principal. Moreover, these 3 inscription masters would occasionally look at Bailey Hongzhuang. When he saw this scene, he couldn't help but have a guess. Perhaps these 3 grandmasters were here for Hongzhuang. After all, Bailey Hongzhuang's performance that day shocked the 3 grandmasters. After pondering for a moment, Gong Shaoqing didn't reveal his thoughts in the end. Because even if he said it, no one would believe it. Wei Hanyun's gaze shifted slightly, and a fierce light appeared in his eyes as he looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. He didn't even know that Bailey Hongzhuang had a good level of pill refinement. If it wasn't for Bailey Hongzhuang, he wouldn't have fallen to the ground in the second round. After all, he had come for the first place in the alchemy competition. Although there weren't many people participating in the alchemy competition, as long as he won the first place, his future path would be much smoother. And because of Bailey Hongzhuang's existence, he was actually ranked 3rd. Yet, Bailey Hongzhuang was ranked 1st. It was simply intolerable. Wei Hanyun's gaze then landed on Bailey Hongzhuang's pill furnace. Regardless of what the results of the first 2 rounds were, he wanted Bailey Hongzhuang to fail in the 3rd round. When Xiao He sensed Wei Hanyun's gaze, he knew that this fellow's thoughts weren't good. However, during the process of refining pills, it wasn't worried that Wei Hanyun would cause damage like the second round. Such trash was destined to be a stepping stone for their master. Under such circumstances, the 3rd round of everyone's refinement of the medicinal pill was surprisingly smooth. None of them had any problems. Suddenly, a dense medicinal fragrance came from Lu Qinyue's pill furnace. When they smelled this medicinal fragrance, everyone felt their spirits rise and their spirits became much stronger. Clearly, this was a sign that the pill was about to take shape. Huan Chuyo's face revealed a smile. He had long since been prepared for the 3rd round. He hadn't made it the hardest for Lu Qinyue to refine. Most importantly, Lu Qinyue's ability could only produce the highest level. Lu Qinyue, Bailey Hongzhuang, and Wei Hanyun's strengths were comparable. Only Qi Junan was slightly weaker. Huan Chuyu could clearly see that Jian Qingqiu's plan was to allow the Northern Sea Academy to take first place in the alchemy competition and the Spirit Concealment Academy to take first place in the cultivators competition. As a result, both academies were extremely famous, and only the Azure Water School was at a disadvantage. However, Jian Qingqiu was able to obtain the first place in the alchemy competition today. The moment the medicinal fragrance of Lu Qinyue's pill furnace came out, the same came from Wei Hanyun's pill furnace. The 2 kinds of rich medicinal fragrance interweaved together, causing everyone to be intoxicated. The effect of the pill was naturally not something to say. Just the smell alone was also beneficial to cultivators. However, Huan Chuyo's expression couldn't help but change a bit when he smelled the familiar pill fragrance. His gaze towards Wei Hanyun also flashed with surprise. If his prediction was correct, Wei Hanyun had refined the jade condensation pill. The Jadify pill, a grade 2 medicinal pill, could help cultivators condense their spirit energy, allowing the spirit energy in their dantian to condense and store more spirit energy. This might seem to be of little use, but it was actually very helpful to cultivators. Chapter 8:11, Definitely Win. Although the jade condensation pill was a grade 2 pill, it was not far from a grade 3 pill. Huan Chuyu hadn't expected that he had underestimated Wei Hanyun's strength. According to the information he'd received earlier, Wei Hanyun's strength shouldn't be enough to refine a jade condensation pill. In this way, although Lu Qingyue had successfully refined a medicinal pill, she would still lose to Wei Hanyun after doubling her points in the third round. Thinking of this, Huan Chuyo's expression couldn't help but turn ugly. He didn't expect this to happen in the end. He didn't know how North Sea Academy managed to find an alchemist like Wei Hanyun. He had always been extremely confident in Lu Qinyue's strength. With her age, she was also extremely powerful. Unfortunately, Wei Hanyun was several years older than Lu Qinyue, and Lu Qinyue suffered a loss. Seeing Huan Chuyo's gloomy face, Song Hongxi couldn't help but reveal a smile. The first 2 matches had caused him to be extremely worried. He hadn't expected that Wei Hanyun's pill refinement technique would be as outstanding as Jian Qingqiu had said. Although he didn't know anything about alchemy, he could tell from the change in Huan Chuyo's expression that the Northern Sea Academy would definitely win this alchemy competition. Jian Qingqiu's expression was indifferent. Although Lingying College's alchemist's performance wasn't satisfactory, what he cared more about was the cultivator competition. As for the alchemist competition, it didn't matter if they let it out. The North Sea Academy will probably win this match. Chu Jio slowly spoke. The jade condensation pill was already of the highest quality among rank 2 medicinal pills. It was extremely difficult to defeat him. Chinyu nodded. Wei Hanyun's strength is indeed not bad. In the future he should be a character in the alchemy world. To them it didn't matter who won or lost. They were just happy that an extraordinary fellow had risen up in the alchemy world. Although in terms of talent, Wei Hanyun was still no match for Lu Qinyue, compared to ordinary alchemists, Wei Hanyun was already outstanding enough. Wei Hanyun's face was full of pride. He was determined to win this pill refinement competition. He wasn't unfamiliar with the pills that Lu Qinyue refined. Although the Profound Origin pill was also a grade 2 pill, the difficulty of refining it wasn't as high as the refining jade pill, and the effect wasn't as good as the refining jade pill. Thus, he was certain to win this competition. Ding. Lu Qinyue opened the lid of the furnace and an even denser medicinal fragrance wafted out. The cultivators under the high platform greedily absorbed this medicinal fragrance and were extremely intoxicated. Lu Qinyue slowly placed the medicinal pill into a white porcelain bottle. Only then did she quietly stand to the side. She had already finished refining the medicinal pill in the third round. However, her gaze shifted slightly. When she noticed Huan Chuyo's gloomy expression, her originally good mood changed a bit. She was very satisfied with her performance, but since her master had revealed such an expression, she was afraid. Wei Hanyun's pills were even more advanced. Thinking up to here, Lu Qinyue's face turned ugly as well. However, it was already too late to refine the pills again. Could it be she was going to miss her victory just like that? Ding. Wei Hanyun also finished refining the pill. As the pill furnace opened, a dense medicinal fragrance spread out, and Lu Qinyue's expression changed a bit. She hadn't paid too much attention to the medicinal pill she had refined earlier, but now that she smelled it, she had already confirmed the answer. Chapter 8:12, Alchemy, Successively Completed Jade Condensation Pill. This was the medicinal fragrance of the condensation pill. The jade condensation pill was very famous among grade 2 pills. She had smelled this fragrance when her master was refining the jade condensation pill. The reason why she had outstanding talent in alchemists was because her sense of smell was sensitive enough. When she was identifying the medicinal ingredients, she was able to judge them by just smelling their scent. It was precisely because of this that she was certain that this medicinal fragrance belonged to the jade condensation pill. Shockingly, she discovered that she had underestimated Wei Hanyun. After Wei Hanyun successfully refined the jade condensation pill, the profound origin pill she had refined no longer had any meaning. She would definitely lose this competition. When she thought up to here, Lu Qingyue felt extremely depressed in her heart. She wanted to win glory for Azure Water School in this world. At this moment, she didn't even dare to look at the students who had confidence in her. She had always been a genius alchemist in everyone's eyes, and everyone was filled with confidence in her. However, she had actually lost to Wei Hanyun of Azure Water School today. Everyone would probably be disappointed in her. After seeing Lu Qingyue's ugly expression, Wei Hanyun's mood became incomparably good. After today he would become famous. Why do I feel that something is not quite right? Cui Haoyan frowned and followed his gaze. He noticed that the vice principal and Lu Qingyue's expressions weren't very good. Obviously, something unexpected had happened. Hearing Cui Haoyan's words, everyone also looked at the high platform. This time, everyone also noticed the problem Cui Haoyan had mentioned. If it wasn't for the fact that the situation wouldn't have happened, Lu Qingyue wouldn't have revealed such a look. Could it be, Lu Qingyue lost this competition? Zhang Yunfeng said in a low voice. Even though this competition was not over yet, everyone knew who the higher the grade of the pill, the better the result. Lu Qingyue's expression was definitely because the pills she refined were not as good as Wei Hanyun's. That would be terrible. Bai Junyu's voice sank. Their performance in the first 2 rounds could be said to be the best. He hadn't expected that Wei Hanyun would actually be able to turn the tables in the 3rd round. Don't worry, Hongzhuang's pills haven't finished yet. Perhaps Hongzhuang's pills will be stronger than Wei Hanyun's. Xia Jiqing had a blind faith in Bailey Hongzhuang. Ever since she met Bailey Hongzhuang, she had never been disappointed in her. On the high platform, Bailey Hongzhuang's expression remained indifferent. She was neither arrogant nor impatient, neither slow nor slow. Her methodical appearance did not make anyone feel the slightest bit nervous. On the contrary, it was a kind of pleasant enjoyment. Xia Jiqing believed that Bailey Hongzhuang's confidence was there, otherwise she wouldn't be so calm. Everyone looked at Xia Jiqing. Although they didn't understand why Xia Jiqing trusted Bailey Hongzhuang so much, Bailey Hongzhuang was already their only hope. Ding! Another pill furnace opened. Qi Junnan successfully finished refining the pill. With a smile on her face, she took the pill out of the furnace and placed it into a white porcelain bottle. However, the 3 of them had already finished refining the pill. Bailey Hongzhuang was the only one left. Her pill furnace hadn't even emitted any medicinal fragrance. The Azure Water School's people couldn't help but feel a bit anxious. Time passed by. There wasn't much time left until the end of the 3rd round. Bailey Hongzhuang has yet to be refined. Will she directly fail? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.